Can the Jets make the playoffs this season? Can they? If so, how? What would they need to do? We'll be right back to talk about it right after this. Oh yeah, go. Amazing, that's my boy.
He breaks away from a sack and completes the pass for first down.
Kittle just may have made the most amazing catch.
He fights for the first down and gets out of bounds too.
It's no good. Overtime. Oh, what a catch. How do you drop that? What are you, Jamal Adams? Touchdown!
This is a touchdown all the way!
He reached over the pylon. San Francisco beat Cincinnati. I remember that game. It was a great game. So just in case you joined the channel later after last season had ended, me and my brother do NFL red zone parties. So when the Jets aren't playing, we cover anywhere from 2 to 5 games at the same time. We jump around the channels and we call all the games and we hang out and have a good time on Sundays. Some of you might know it's a blast. I want to welcome to the show who's going to help me determine and talk about the factors that would be necessary for the Jets to make the playoffs this year. You know him. He's awesome. You've seen him before. If you haven't, you're going to be wanting to see more of him. Please welcome my guest, the Buffalo Jets fan.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm super excited to be on the show today. I'm super excited to answer this question. Let's get right into it. Can the Jets make the playoffs, right? Because everything else we've been talking about, every little tiny issue, every player profile, every can Drake London separate, is Jermaine Johnson bendy? It's all leading up to this big essential question, which is, can the Jets make the playoffs? I'm excited to talk about it.
All right. We're going to say hello to some people in the chat. Thanks for being here so early. People were just waiting for it to show. That makes me feel real good. It gives me those warm and fuzzies. Afrin, what's up? Afrin remembers I'm from Canarsie. That's right, man. Not just Brooklyn, Canarsie, Brooklyn. Got J. Cole saying what's up. What's up, J. Cole, my kiddo? Hope you're doing well. We got Garrett Ham here. Hope you're doing well, Garrett Ham. Mess in the house. Phenom, new subscriber. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Man, it's good to even see the word Bronx, the Bronx written out. Gives me chills. You know what I mean? I just love it. Think about all that, all those bakeries on Arthur Avenue. We got Dark Soldier in the house. What's going on, my friend? And Garrett Ham, I'm glad you're saying that, Garrett, because I thought it was going to be people going to come in and say, what's this guy talking about? What's this guy talking about? But one thing we know, just to get this started, is the plan to be successful isn't that we had to make the playoffs this season, right? I mean, we just need to take growth. We need progress. And if we won 8 games this season and we're competitive in all the games and maybe even beat a divisional foe once or twice, that would be a nice step forward. But we also have to look at history. And what history tells us is that a team can go from being very, very low in the league, very few wins, and turn it around and be a nice Cinderella story and make the playoffs. It happens. So the point of this show is not to say the Jets are going to make the playoffs, but it's to talk about what we can do and what would make that, what would have to happen for the Jets to make the playoffs. And I know, Buffalo, you've been thinking about this. I see it in your head. It's almost like you got light bulbs popping above your head. So I'm going to let you start. What would you, just breaking it down, let's go one piece at a time, one factor at a time. So what's your main thing that pops into your head of what would have to happen?
Well, a couple things. Number one, we have to realize that the turnover in the playoffs in the NFL is higher than any other sport. So half the teams that make the playoffs, that made the playoffs this year, will not make the playoffs next year. Statistically, it's very consistent. Half the teams are out. Right now, you look at all those teams, you look like, hey, they all should be in. But think about what happened to the Ravens last year, right? That happens to several teams every year, where it's injuries, where it's bad luck, where it's a tough schedule. And it seems like they lost so many games, 2 minutes left in the game. That's going to happen to a bunch of teams. They're going to be out. So now you're thinking about, okay, they're out of all those spots. Now teams that didn't make it are going to be back in. So how do we fare against some of those other teams that didn't make it? And I think the Jets' overall roster is pretty comparable to a lot of those other teams. So what's it going to take? I think number one, you touched on it a little bit. I think to make the playoffs, we're probably going to have to go 3-3 in our division. We're going to have to split in our division. So whatever that looks like, whether that's 1-1 with each team, whether that's, we sweep Miami maybe, and then, get beaten by Buffalo twice. However that looks, we have to find a way to scrape out 3 divisional wins because number one, obviously, if you are less than that, then you're 2-4 in your division. That puts you playing catch up the rest of the year. And the other thing we have to consider is that the Patriots and the Dolphins are going to be also vying for wild card spots. So tiebreakers against them are going to be important. And then just from the quarterback perspective, if you think about the quarterbacks that are going to be vying for AFC playoff seeds, it's a star-studded cast. So I'm probably going to need 30 touchdowns from Zach Wilson between his legs and his arm combined. Just to get right to it. What does he need to do? I think it's got to be 30 touchdowns, where that's 25 through the air and 5 rushing. He could take a nice step forward and throw 19 touchdowns and 12 picks, and we feel confident about that. But that's not getting into the playoffs. It's just not. And then if we think about finally the defense, 32nd in the league last year, it's going to be upgraded. The young guys are going to be better. The free agents are going to improve the defense. The draft is going to improve the defense. Are we going to go from 32nd to like top 10? No. But I think we need to be in the middle of the pack. So probably a top 15 defense. So if we can do those things, if we can split in the division, if Zach Wilson can give us 30 touchdowns with his arm and his legs, and we can be an average defense, then I think we got a shot.
Okay. And I want to talk about each thing. We'll individually attack each thing. Phenom's talking about the trenches, and I agree 100%. We got to improve in the trenches. The first 6 games were a disaster as far as the offensive line was concerned. The defensive line had some shining spots, but were also at times just like a college football team playing an NFL team. It was ridiculous. I was like literally, like what Indianapolis and Philadelphia in the second half of that game, what they did to our defensive line and our defense was embarrassing. So definitely have to have a lot of improvement there. I want to start though by really dissecting Zach, and Garrett brought up another point we're going to have to talk about, and that's injuries, because a lot of times we forget about that. How many times do we justify our wins or feel bad about our wins because of injuries? Like when we beat Cleveland, we said, oh, it was because their first, they had no receivers. Their top 3 receivers were out. And it was like, well, what about us? I mean, look at the injuries that we have to endure, right? But getting back to Zach, and I'm going to introduce the co-host in a second. He's here waiting. I see you, buddy. Zach, first of all, I think part of his improvement is just the players around him, because let's not forget he had more drops of his passes than any other quarterback in the NFL, and his percentage would have been, much higher. I also agree with something Frankie from Flatbush said, was if you really want to look at it, one of the things you should look at with Zach, like at the end of the day, you'll know that he's taken a major step forward if you see that completion percentage go 65 or north of 65. But I mean, it's just, to me, it always starts with quarterback. It always starts, obviously he has growth. He has to be a better game manager and take that next step. And I think there's a lot of evidence that he will. So I'm not doubting it at all, but I'm not going to sit there and say it's definite or, we have 100% evidence that he definitely will. We don't know what his ceiling is. We don't know, it's still a mystery. That's the scariest part about this whole rebuild is Zach Wilson, because it's still a mystery. Although I have a tremendous amount of hope, and there's a lot of things I could point to justify that hope. What do you think about Zach Wilson? Before you do, let me bring in Nick Shine, and he is the co-host of this show.
What's up, guys?
He does have parental responsibilities, so I understand why you're.
Where are we going here? Go through the other 3-way. That's what she said.
That's what she.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
We're okay,
on, man.
So, have you ever met the Buffalo Jets fan?
I think he came on one night. I think he came on one Wednesday later in the show, like as I was heading out. I think we were together maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, Nick, Buffalo's going to start and talk about. So, what do you want to see from Zach Wilson? You said 30 touchdowns, but what do you? But more detail than that. Forget stats. What do you need to see from him as a quarterback? And then Nick will let you take a shot at it.
Sure. I need to see, number one, I need to see that he can make adjustments at the line of scrimmage and communicate and get guys in the right spot. And we saw a little bit of that towards the end of the year. And I know it's like just one obscure play, so maybe not everyone knows what I'm talking about, but it was a moment for me last year. And I think it was the Tampa Bay game where everyone seemed confused. And there was like a bunch of guys in different spots. And he went over to like 3 individual players and got them all lined up and got the snap off with like 2 seconds left. And that was just something that he wasn't able to do in the beginning of the year. In the beginning of the year, he was under pressure a lot. And yes, obviously the offensive line was struggling. Obviously at that point, we hadn't gone to LDT over Greg Van Roten, but there were times where it was just like free rushers off the edge. And it just seemed like miscommunication with coaching. But that's something that a veteran quarterback is going to be able to see that and make those checks. The Tampa Bay game, also a second year of veteran quarterback, even if the call comes in and it's quarterback sneak up the nose to try to get 2.5 yards with a quarterback who weighs 210, which is what I weigh. A veteran quarterback is going to have to make that check, make that adjustment. So I think that's number one, is making adjustments at the line of scrimmage to get the play set up for success. Number two, to beat a dead horse, because we heard it from the coaches, he's got to make the layups. I can't see screen passes and checkdowns bouncing at receivers' feet anymore. We just can't do that. If your completion percentage is going to be above 65, you have to hit the easy ones. I definitely want to see him. I want to see the coaching staff utilize his arm strength more shots down the field. Obviously, personnel comes into play there. And I really want to see him use his athleticism more. I mean, that was one of the biggest things. I was super excited when we drafted him because I'm looking at BYU, and he's a stud. He's a really, really good athlete. He's never going to be known as a rushing quarterback, but he's a really good athlete, I think, who can get you 400 or 500 yards on the ground and a handful of touchdowns. And then just be good situationally. I want to see some more no huddle. I want to see the coaching staff be confident in him to just take the training wheels off. That's what I want to see. Those are some of the things that I want to see out of Zach Wilson. I want to see the adjustments at the line of scrimmage. I want to see deep shots down the field. I want to see him make the layups, and I want to see him use his feet more.
Awesome. And Nick, what do you think?
I agree with what a lot with what you said. A couple things I want to add are the coaching staff kind of took Salah kind of took a jab at him at the meetings. Like, I want to see him pick up the playbook quicker. So, maybe that's a little challenge you're throwing out to the second year guy of like, hey, we had the diapers on you year one, but now we're throwing your ass in the deep end in year two. Let's see you step the fuck up. That's how I interpret that. Process the playbook faster, process your route tree faster. He showed glimpses of greatness as I was waiting to come in the show. And I suck with names, so forgive me, Buffalo Jet fan. What's your name?
Oh, it's all good. Everyone's just been calling me Buffalo, but I'm Kevin.
Okay. All right. I suck with names, so don't think if I still don't know Jeremy's name. But I heard you say something about 30 touchdowns. So me being me, I'm like, I know that we're being built like the 49ers. Jimmy G's never thrown 30 touchdowns in this system. He's thrown 27 the year they went to the Super Bowl, and he threw 20 this year. I know he missed some games. But this system is going to heavily lean on the run game, and it's going to be opportunistic throws. It's going to be key third down. It's going to be high completion percentage, like you said, moving the chains. Of course, there'll be a couple games where he hits big plays and maybe the yardage hits 300. But I would think, ideally, for the Jets coaches and to be successful, he's living in the 210 to 240 range a game. More than that probably means we're in deep shit in the game, right? It probably means that we're playing from behind and he's got to throw more. But ideally, we'd like to run for about 160, maybe throw for about 220 to 240, and then live around 400 in an ideal game. But I think he's definitely capable. Weeks that the defense is off, which I expect to be improved as well. I think we will see. I think we'll see those numbers. He's not going to ever be, with this coaching staff and system, he's never going to be a 5,000-yard passer. It's never going to be, God bless you, sir. It's never going to be leading the league in passing attempts. It's just not how this system is. We might lead the league in rushing attempts with the line that we have, but all of the things you said, but I don't expect to see them in great detail. I just expect it to be a higher percentage of those things occurring. Because that's what this system is, right? This system is run the damn ball down your throat. Miami's going to be running it, and it's probably going to help Tua. Now that they brought in all these hogs on the line and they got Edmonds and Mostert and they got all that speed, they're going to be running the same system we are. And I don't think they want to live on Tua's arm at this point. Who knows? Patriots had the same thing with Brady years ago. And then the evolution of Brady, all of a sudden he was leading the league in passing. He did throw 50 touchdowns the 1 year. But right now, I think it's run first and be efficient at the quarterback position. Not saying game manager, Trent Dilfer, Phil Simms like, but take advantage of your opportunities when you get them. When a play breaks down, hit the big play to Corey Davis and point the finger deep. But I think a lot of the yards after catch with like Elijah Moore will be very, very big for Zach.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I would love it if he throws 30 touchdowns. I predicted 40 last year, but I was drinking some scotch, to be honest.
And I'm
but,
going for with his legs and his arm. So I want, if
Yeah.
it's 25 with his arm and 5 on the ground, like that's, 30 total.
And that's reasonable season 2. That's very reasonable. Especially because, I mean, if we avoid the injuries, and which we talked about before, both Soldier and Garrett Ham brought that up. If we avoid the injuries, we have a pretty good offensive line now, probably the best in the division. And we're gonna add on more talent in the draft. We got tight ends now for Zach, and aside from his experience, so that's part of him taking that next step. Obviously, is having the weapons around them. And then as Braden is saying, do you think it's realistic to take a quarterback? It's 38 and 6 or 69, and I say absolutely. I say it's very realistic. I could totally see us doing it. There's some guys that might be there that might be just too, it depends on how Joe rates them. But I mean, there's guys that look really, really good. And if they're the best player available at that spot, they might do it. Have a nice 1-2 punch with Carter. I mean, you got to look at San Francisco. They didn't do it with one running back, and that's another reason why I don't get too obsessed with the stats. Like, I understand that Zach might not be in the offense that's going to give him the biggest numbers, right? He's in the offense that's going to say, hey, the way we're schemed is dominate on the ground, run the ball effectively on the ground, force men in the box, open up some play action, one-on-ones, break down the coverage, and then, like Nick said, make the big play. But if we're dominating on the ground and there's no reason to do that, and we could just walk down the field, eat up clock, keep our defense rested, something we didn't do last year, then it might not show in the stats for Zach, and people on the outside might say, you see, he's not that good. That's not true. As long as he does what we need him to do. Those times where it's 3rd and 7, where the running game doesn't work, right? Can he make the play? Can he make the throw? Those are and in the red zone, of course. And
situational football is going to be
football.
Yeah.
3rd down conversions. Like that percentage has to go up for us.
Yeah.
I was just looking at, we gave up 504 points. We scored 310. It's almost a 200-point difference. That's losing by more than 10 a game.
Yeah.
Close the gap. Be like level this year. Score 400, give up like 400. And then the 3rd year, Zach, we take the leap to the next level. But situational football is key. I don't want to see, I'm just throwing numbers out, 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. I want to see 3rd down efficiency rate. Are we staying on the field? Are drives sustaining? Time of possession? Things like that help win the game more, right? Lower the turnovers. He did that as the year went on. There's huge steps he can make. I'll be completely honest. With the way the AFC is, the only way I see us making the playoffs if Joe Douglas pulls off a trade and gets us traded to the NFC. I do not see us making the playoffs this year. I think we can play meaningful football after Thanksgiving, but I mean, you could win 12 games in the AFC this year and not make the playoffs. Like, that's how good the AFC West is. Those teams can beat the crap out of each other, go 3-3 in the division, and close to run the table outside of the division. So I think 11 or 12 wins is the bottom of where the playoff football will be this year. So I don't think we're there yet. I think we're one more year away.
Yeah, well, and I agree. I don't think it's likely we're going to make the playoffs, but I'm saying if we did, let's say we're looking back. That's a better way to ask the question. It's January and we had made the playoffs. And I'm saying, how did that happen? So that's what we're talking about, right?
We were playing Madden.
but that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna say what would have to happen for it to happen. So Zach taking that major step is a big part of it, but also I think the staying healthy. So we've declared that we stayed healthy. Zach took a major step. We established an amazing running game, right? And we're
And
able.
the defense started getting turnovers. That's a big one too. That's big. Getting off the field on third down. Like flip it the other way now, right? If we're going to lower that 510 or 504 that we gave up down to 400, we're going to have to get off the field on third down. We're going to have to cover running backs on the swing passes. We're going to have to be able to cover the tight ends that kill us on third downs continuously, which seems like going on 15 damn years. We're going to have to get off the field. We're going to have to commit turnovers. We're going to have to give Zach a short field, right? We're going to have to do things to put the game in our favor instead of being roadkill, which is what the defense was last year a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think that, Nick, it's a really good point. And also, I think that last year it seemed like the defense being so bad like made the offense really struggle, and the offense being so awful made the defense really struggle because the defense is worn out because the offense can't sustain drives in some games. And then in games like the Philly game where Zach comes out on fire, and then in the second half, we're getting cooked by Gardner Minshew and he never can get on the field again. So it just seems like both of those areas improving, it's going to like make your whole team more well-rounded. And one more thing, we talk about situational. We got to punch the ball in the end zone when we get in the red zone. It's just not the league isn't so where you can just win games coming away with 9 points on 3 red zone trips. You got to punch the ball in. We got to be aggressive on fourth down, which seems like we were a little bit more last year after the Gase and Todd Bowles were really, really conservative. I think we got to join the rest of the NFL and have some, do some of the analytics, even though we like analytics more than analytics, but there's something to it. And I want to see a LaFleur have like a bag of those situational plays. Okay, our first 4th and 1, we know it's play A. Let's get into it. It's a little option pitch, boom, first down. All the good teams do that. I don't want us to be, it's 4th and 1. We're in a huddle to the last second, and it's a halfback dive up the middle that everyone sees coming and gets stopped. Like
the Frank Gore special.
Yeah. I want us to have those plays ready to go. Have the quarterback know it, line up, and get ready to go. So I think the red zone efficiency, and I think like you mentioned, the defense and the offense both being so bad, like just kind of they hurt each other last year.
Absolutely, it was a double-edged sword, right? Like we're giving up the long drives. The offense gets out on the field, starts at the 25, 3 and out. Defense gets the ball. They're now at the 40, and they give up another drive in a row. And it's like the guys didn't even catch their breath because we're going 3 and out. So as the defense and the offense start to find a balance, and I think we're going to be offense, I would predict us to be in the 15 to 20 range just because we're not going to be that elite passing team. But I think we're going to be near the top 6 or 7 in time of possession, which is important for the defense, right? Like we run the ball twice, we hit a little quick pass, we get a first down, we're taking 3-4 minutes off the game clock, and maybe we only run 5 plays. Maybe it's a 6 and out, but we took off 3, 4, 5 minutes of the game clock, and now the defense is rested. They come out and get a stop. We flip the field. They're fresh. They get a stop. Now we have the ball, say at the 40, maybe 50, and now we can make a drive and change the game. You're going to see both sides of the ball start to complement each other, I think, this year. It's year 2 of a system. You're bringing in guys like Tomlinson and Solomon Thomas, who I think will be a steal. I think Solomon Thomas could be the guy where come early November, we are absolutely ecstatic about his play and how he's helping out Quinnen Williams open up, and complementary football on the D-line is going to be huge. And I think my prediction right now is that I know everyone likes Tomlinson, Reed, Whitehead. I think Solomon Thomas is the dude. I think he is the guy that we picked up that is going to move the needle the most with this team. We're just saying a lot because we know how much Tomlinson is going to mean to us. I think Solomon Thomas is a steal and could be the steal of free agency this year.
Well, now that he's playing the correct position, this will only be a second year where he's fully in the correct position that he's probably more, built to play. I mean, who knows how good he can get at it? And we all know that we have the right coaching staff to coach players up. So at least that's what we're told. So, look, we wouldn't have went out and got him if we didn't believe he can do the job because, I mean, our defensive coaches know him well.
Mhm.
So maybe that's why they allowed Fatukasi to get away. Maybe they realized we can get this guy much cheaper and we can coach him up and he can give us just as much value stopping the run. Also, we don't know what we're going to do in the draft. So there's a lot of factors. But, one of the things I want to say right away is, and I know, staying healthy is our chat is all about staying healthy. And I think that's key. And anything could happen. But also, what has to happen for us to be able to stop a screen pass, guys? So I'm going to let you answer that. What has to happen? What do you like? And I'm asking as somebody who's like literally, how do you figure this out? I'm going to test your football knowledge. And I know that Nick, you do some coaching. I don't know about you, Buffalo. I don't know what your background is, but can you tell me what this team, without abandoning its scheme and its philosophy defensively, what do they have to do to stop the screen pass?
Sure, I do some coaching, but that's in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So, but I'll give it a stab here. I think that our linebacking core and safety core was just anemically untalented last year. I really think that's the biggest part of it. So for me, until we get some legitimate professionals at those positions, I can't put that on this new coaching staff because I know that wasn't a problem with Robert Saleh when he was in with the 49ers. Outside of CJ Mosley, that was the only guy. So our defensive line was decent at times, but it was CJ Mosley, and that was it in the back end. Quincy Williams, he's really fast, but he got out of position. He overran plays. And then it was Gerard Davis. I mean, do we even have to talk about him? And then it was some of the younger guys that we were transitioning from safety to linebacker that were thrown in there, weren't really ready to play, or probably best suited as special teamers and backups.
And they were out for the year by like Rosh Hashanah. Like by the end of September, they were freaking out for the year, both of them. So they got very little experience.
And the safeties too. Both of our Joyner never made it to the field, and then Marcus May, obviously both. I thought those coming into the year, like those are two professional starting safeties. And then Ashton Davis is barely rosterable, and then it was just like musical chairs. So now not only do you have guys who are under talented, you have guys who were like young. Ashton Davis is young. The other kid we picked up from Philly, his name is escaping me as an undrafted. Elijah Riley is young. We had Jason Pinnock. He was a rookie and he was learning a new position going from corner to safety. So not only do you have guys who are not talented, you have guys who are unexperienced, and you have a lack of continuity because all these moving pieces, all the injuries and COVID. So until we significantly upgrade the talent at linebacker and safety, I can't put that on the coaches. Also, something to mention, our corners did not tackle very well. Bryce Hall held his own. Brandon Eccles actually rated as the worst tackling corner in the league last year. He's got some good ball skills. I like him. I like him as a corner number 4, but that's something he's got to get that squared up if he's going to compete for a starting job, because you can't be the worst tackling corner in the field and be a starter in this defense. So until we make those changes, I can't even really begin to assess whether or not it's the coaching. And it looks like we've already made some of them.
Yes. Nakobe Dean. that's me answering the question. Nakobe Dean would probably help greatly with that, right? We need the rest of the linebacking core and the D-line too, because D-line not realizing, I'm free to the quarterback. Oh shit, I should turn and break off because it's going to be a screen pass. Play recognition helps. So everyone having the wisdom and the knowledge that CJ Mosley has also helps. I think another year in the system, I think another year with Mosley leading the linebacking group, hopefully not as much turnover. Like you said, we had Sherwood and Nazeldine who went out very quickly. Quincy Williams got thrown into a role he wasn't expected to play. Jeremy, you had more tackles than Jared Davis did last year. So the continuity will help. Familiarity with the system will help. A lot of these younger guys now entering year 2, having gotten their feet wet, and they're not worried about staying above water anymore in the deep end. They're actually starting to swim and do the backstroke and be comfortable out there. That will make a huge factor on the defense as well. So play recognition, experience, health, continuity, not patchworking linebacking cores or D lines together every week. Having Carl Lawson and maybe Thibodeau, having guys on the edge who do have the speed to break off and catch those plays from behind will help us as well. So there's a lot goes into that. There's a lot. It's not just as simple as Nakobe Dean, but that dude would not hurt.
He would do about half of it, man. I'm telling you,
yeah.
he'd get us 50% there, because that dude, the intelligence. And I love what you said about play recognition, because there's often times where I'm watching other teams, right? And it's like maybe it's like a 3rd and long and the team's backed up and you'll hear screen, screen, screen. I didn't hear that once from the Jets defense last year, right? I didn't hear a lot of communicating. So I think that's a really good point, is just this, and it goes back to the situational football that you talked about. That's a really big part of it.
Yeah. What you did hear is a lot of F words that had a CBS had a censor, because they're like, God, they got us again. 32 yards on 3rd and 21.
So one thing that we haven't talked about, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but J. Cole asked Buffalo, who are you targeting in the draft? And a draft is a good thing to talk about also. If we were in that scenario next year, how did we make the playoffs? How did it happen? Aside from injuries, Zach Wilson and all these things, is obviously that we hit gold in the draft, right? We get some impact players that can contribute right away. So with that in mind, Buffalo, who are you targeting in the draft? Who would you really like to see become a Jet? If you had to name 2 to 3 players that you really want to be New York Jets when we get into the season, who are they?
Well, I think if just to take it one step at a time, I guess if we made the playoffs, how did the draft go? I mean, without even naming specific players, I think obviously the 1st round picks have to be really high quality starters, probably just below a Pro Bowl level. I think that's reasonable to expect out of rookies who are taken at the 4 and 10 overall pick. And then the 35 and 38 pick, I need to be immediate average to above average starters. So I think that's reasonable. And then everybody else playing some sort of role on depth or special teams. I think that would be the answer to that question. In terms of who do I like? I mean, yeah, I like all the guys you like in the chat. You know who I like. I like Kayvon Thibodeau, right? I like Jameson Williams as long as the knee's good. I like Garrett Wilson. I really like edge at 4, wide receiver at 10, if the board is able to fall that way. And then I like 2 defensive starters in the 2nd round, probably a safety and a linebacker. I like Christian Harris. I like Chad Muma. I like Jaquan Brisker. I like Dax Hill. So that's kind of my, ideally, that's kind of the way it would go. Like a KT at 4, then, maybe a healthy Jameson Williams or a Garrett Wilson at 10, and then 2 defensive starters in round 2. And I really like, I'm starting to really like swing tackle at 69, although I know we just picked up another tackle. I think that could be something to hedge George Fant being a free agent and Mekhi Becton status still being a little murky.
All right.
Let me ask you a question. We kind of discussed this the other day.
Yeah.
Give me some names that you don't want to hear at 4 and 10. Everyone's always on the who do you want. Give me the who do you don't want.
I haven't seen it mocked as much recently. I feel like it's probably not going to be a thing, but just a few short weeks ago, Kyle Hamilton at 4 seemed like a real big possibility. And I just don't want, it's possible. And this sounds crazy. It's possible that Kyle Hamilton could make the Hall of Fame, and I still wouldn't like to pick at 4 just because I don't want a safety. And maybe that's a dumb take.
No, it's not, because it's not what we need at this moment in time.
Yeah.
The Portland Trailblazers needed a center. They didn't need Michael Jordan because they had Clyde Drexler, right? Like the fit that they needed. Not saying Sam Bowie was the better pick, and in hindsight, it's not. You were better off moving Clyde Drexler and keeping Jordan. But at the moment in the draft, they needed a big man. They had their 2 guard. So no one ever thought Jordan would be Jordan, right? Like he hit 1 shot in college. Like that was the big shot. And then
big shot.
I'm not saying he hit 1 shot. I'm a Tar Heel fan, but I'm not diminishing it. But And Jeremy, I hate you because I just gotten myself situated and centered perfectly in the other thing, and then you switched it on me. Like literally on a hidden camera show. I just got myself dead center, and I'm like in a position where I don't have to move anymore.
Well, I'm planning on doing a survey of what people prefer. You know what I mean? So
what about you, Nick? What would piss you off if the Jets took him at 4 or 10?
Hamilton would piss me off.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against the player. It's exactly what you said, like word for word. My feelings are exactly what yours are. If the front four is built and we have our Lawson and we have another edge rusher and we have 6 guys that we're happy with throwing out there as pass rushers, okay, go the other route. You know, think outside the box. But worst case scenario, Hutchinson, Walker, Thibodeau go 1, 2, 3. Number one, there's not going to be enough alcohol in MetLife Stadium to soothe my pain. Number two, I think we trade out. I'm on record multiple times as saying I think it's very improbable that Joe Douglas picks at number 4 and he picks at number 10. Knowing Joe the way we know Joe, he's got a plan. He's got his top 3 sitting there, and maybe he don't like number 4. And if those 3 go, he's getting on the phone. He's making a deal. He's bumping out. Maybe he even bumps out completely and gets a draft pick for next year and a 2 for this year just to get out of there, because next year's round 1, I think, is light years ahead of this one.
Will Anderson.
Oh, GVH. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm feeling better, man. Thank you. It's scary.
I'm still sick. I'm just hitting mute whenever I cough or sneeze.
The other day, like, I watched some of it back, and I went to catch what you guys talked about, and I caught the end of me, and I was like the movie guy in a world. Like the voice was so deep when I didn't feel well. But yeah, I don't see him keeping 4 and 10, and it would have to be. We have our number 2 guy at 4, and we have our number 4 guy at 10. Like, I'd see Joe moving one of these picks. I'm okay with Garrett Wilson. I'm okay with Jameson Williams. Yes, at 10. I love him that much. You're drafting him for the future. You're not drafting him for opening day. And I think fans get too fixated with, he's not going to be ready week 1. Yeah, but the dude's going to be an all-pro in year 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. So let's think long-term. We're still a young team. It's still a marathon. It's not a sprint yet. So if we got to sit Jameson Williams a little bit and we add an elite talent next to Elijah Moore, and I've seen Antonio Brown's route running in Elijah Moore. I've said that a lot on the show. His footwork is impressive as hell. You look at Antonio Brown when he was in his prime, he would dog people in his routes, and he would be wide open, and it was an easy pitch and catch for him and Ben. I see that footwork with Elijah Moore. I see something similar to Devontae Adams and Jameson Williams. Now, if you're putting those 2 elite route runners out there with the run game that we have, with the run line that we have, play action is going to be fucking thing of beauty to watch, man. It's going to be fun to watch the pitch and catch because these dudes are going to dog people.
It'll be beautiful. And, Mike Galizia says it in the chat, Stingley over Sauce. That would piss me off if they took Stingley. It's not Stingley that would piss me off. It's if they took Stingley and Sauce was on the board. That would piss me off more than anything. But I don't want them to take a cornerback necessarily either way. But I don't know if I'd be pissed. But if it was Stingley over Sauce, I'd be pissed.
I'd be pissed at a corner in round 1.
Okay.
Based off the money you just gave Reed, based off of the way this system drafted in San Francisco, I say it all the time. I posted it on Twitter 10 times a week for 2 months. I Googled the San Francisco 49ers first-round picks for the last decade and screenshot it. Guard, O-tackle, edge, D-end, outside linebacker. They took safety once, but that was 27 at the end of round 1. They took Brandon Ayuk at 22. Everything in the top 10 was Armstead, Solomon Thomas, Bosa, McGlinchey, Ayupade, Anthony Davis from Rutgers in 2010, which I was at his draft in Edison, which is pretty cool. We were there at Fox and a Hound at Menlo Park Mall and watched him get the phone call in the back room. We were 20 feet away from him when his family erupted. But it's trenches. It's trenches. That's what wins. That's what this system thrives on. If our D line is built, then I think a cornerback is a luxury pick.
Right.
But this system believes if we beat the crap out of your quarterback and we get there, the three of us can play corner if we're taught it the right way. And that's what the coaching staff believes. We can coach you up. We can teach you the scheme. Like Kevin said, we need you to tackle in the open field. That's the most important part, because if we are going to play that zone and we get the ball out and we get it underneath, you got to kill the guy with the ball immediately. You can't miss a tackle. And they threw it 6 yards on 3rd and 9, and then he runs 7 yards for the first down. So the scheme is more important to this coaching staff on the back end than the players in it.
I think you're right.
I would be floored. I've said it. I would absolutely be floored if we took a cornerback in round 1. Hell, even 2 after signing Reed.
I think you're right, but I think that now that we have a Stingley over Sauce would piss me off type comment, this is the right time to introduce my Sunday night co-host, player analyst, and expert, Dom C. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Dom? How are you?
What's going on, Nick? What's up, Buffalo? What's up,
how's it going, brother?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. We're a couple of us are recovering. Me and Nick were pretty sick on Wednesday night. I think he's recovered a lot better than I have. I'm still.
I took a nap right up to the show. That's why I was a few minutes late getting in. I needed a little nap to just make sure I had that boost of energy.
Oh yeah, it's going through my house too. All my kids are sick. I got a head cold myself. Getting ready for vacation. No better timing, man.
Where are you headed?
We're going to DC tomorrow. We're going to see the Mets play in DC.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, we're gonna hang out there for a couple days, hit the Six Flags down there, and then head up the coast and see the Mets play in Philly. So,
good luck, man. Hope it's not an overtime. I'm a Yankee fan. I'm rare. I'm a Jet Yankee fan. I'm a rare breed.
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm looking forward to just a couple days away.
Nice.
Yeah,
enjoy, man. Have a good time.
Yeah. So, what's happening here, boys? How's everyone?
We're good. We're sitting here. We're talking about if a year from now we look back and say, and somehow we had made the playoffs last season, how did it happen? What were the things that had to have happened? So now we're in the time. We talked about Zach. We talked about the defense and stopping the screen. We talked about staying healthy. Now we're talking about the draft and getting high impact players and who we like. And Nick asked who we didn't like what would piss us off in the draft, what are some guys if we picked in the first round or, and rate it by round, in the first round, 4 and 10, if we drafted this guy, it would piss me off. And then second round, are there guys that would piss you off, Tom, if we drafted him in the first or second round?
Piss off. Gosh, that's pretty harsh, man. I don't know if there's anyone that would piss me off per se. I'll tell you this.
You don't have a Kyle Brady over Warren Sapp scenario in this draft?
Well, listen, I have this thing in me. I'm the eternal optimist. So
me too. But
the pick, whoever has been the pick and whoever's the pick, all of a sudden, in my mind, that tape starts going and it makes perfect sense and it's the perfect pick and so on and so forth. I loved Kyle Brady. When we took him. You know what I mean? I loved Jeff Lageman when we took him. But this, you know what? Listen, I don't know if there's anybody that would piss me off. I will say this. More and more, I don't want to spend any of our first round capital. I'd like to shy away from the offensive line.
Agreed.
Again, I think not to say that the players are bad per se. I think Ike Ekwonu is going to be a phenomenal pro. The guy plays with a tenacity and that dog mentality. It just, and it shows on everything you watch and everything that you see. That guy comes to play. He's wonderful. I just think it's time that, we've already spent 2 first round, 2 high caliber or 2 picks on high caliber, offensive linemen. I'd hate to spend a third one, especially when in this draft, I think that it's not very top heavy. You know, I think the strength of this draft really comes from, say, pick 50 to about 60 or 65. That's where the meat and potatoes of this draft is. That's where the value is. So again, not knocking the offensive lineman at the top, but I'd hate to see us spend another one on there. You know, I caught, as I was sitting backstage, I caught Nick talking about the defensive backs, and I couldn't agree more. You know, if you know me, you know I'm a big fan of Derek Stingley. I don't think that the Jets are going to spend any high capital first round, probably maybe in the second round pick on a cornerback, though. It just doesn't make sense with the other holes and other positions, other positions of need. I don't see the value in taking another cornerback that high. Not to say that we can't add one in the third, fourth, fifth round, maybe, you know, somebody there for some depth or somebody push guys, you know, like Bryce Hall, make sure that, you know, he is who we think he is. You know, push Brendan Eccles, push Dunn, push, you know, all those guys. So I guess offensive tackle at 4 or 10 would really be, or offensive lineman at 4 or 10 would really not piss me off, but really not be the way I'd like to go. I'd be a little bit disappointed, I should say.
Let me add to that. If we do, somebody's getting moved. It's the precursor to something else. Like, we're going to move Becton. If that's what it is, the OTAs are before the draft. And I've said on the show here with Jeremy in January, February, if they see him show up and they don't like what they see and they don't like maybe where he's at least you know before the draft, right? So if you want to say this coaching staff didn't draft him, I know Joe did, and it was drafted for Gase. They have no ties to him. He hasn't performed for them. Fant did. And that's why you heard the coaching staff say what they say. Coaches are loyal to players that produce for them.
Sure.
Fant did. And he played very well. So if Ekwonu is the pick, I expect to hear Becton traded later that night or the next day.
Yeah, and again, the optimist, that eternal optimist in me, I think knows that. And that's why I really, really don't want to see it, because I believe in Mekhi Becton. I believe in the player that he can be. I think, you know, whether or not he plays on the left or the right side, I don't hang my hat too high on, like, he has to be a left tackle or it's a blown draft pick because we have to move him to right tackle. I don't hang my hat on that. Like, I think we need to build 5 people across the line. You know, I don't really, you know, at the 11 or 12 pick, wherever we took him when we did, you know, it doesn't matter left or right tackle. If you take him 1 or 2, you would hope that he's going to protect the blind side, but that's not, you know, that's not the situation we're dealing in here. Unfortunately, I agree with you, Nick. I think if Ekwonu's the pick, it really puts Mekhi on blast, you know, and the pressure's on.
Yeah.
Or
the pressure's off and he's just done being a Jet, right?
Yeah. Could be. I'd like to not think that way. I hope that doesn't happen. But just like anyone else, I mean, you can ask any Jet fan around. I think, you know, we all know that we need another edge player. And, you know, I would love KT. I would hope KT falls to us. I mean, that would be my pick. I would skip that up to the commissioner. But I'm like I said, I like some of the other edges in the draft as well. So if KT does go to Detroit at 2 or Houston at 3, you know, and you said, all right, Jermaine Johnson's your pick, I'd be okay with that. You know, I think KT is the better prospect. I think he's the better player in this draft. He happens to be my personal number 1 player in the entire draft. I like him better than Hutchinson. I think his ceiling's higher than Hutchinson. I think he's capable of really taking that next step and you know, becoming that elite player a lot quicker than Hutchinson has. Hutchinson, you know, probably has a little bit more bust factor in his whole game as an NFL pro than KT does. But Jermaine Johnson is a guy I love, you know, high-end motor, you know, stout against the run. He's got pass moves, you know, he's got pass rush moves for days, counters, he's a good hand fighter, you know, sets the edge good. I was talking one of the shows I was on with Green Bean. We were talking about it, and even though I'm not comparing their games, I said, Jermaine Johnson, what he could bring to the Jets reminds me of what Sean Ellis brought to the Jets. You know what I mean? He wasn't Abraham. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't the guy, who was in the limelight, getting all the sacks, so on and so forth. But you knew exactly what you were going to get from Sean Ellis day in, day out. He was going to bring his lunch pail to work, and he was
much more athletic Sean Ellis, though.
No, I'm not comparing the two. I'm saying what you can bring to the team is that super high floor. You know what you're going to get. He might not be the flashiest, the best player on the field at times, but he's probably not going to disappoint.
No,
that's what I think.
You get substance. One of my sayings
Absolutely.
all the time is, "I want substance over flash." And
absolutely.
Jermaine brings more substance. Thibodeau could be more flash.
Absolutely.
Right? Like he's going to be the guy who I think will be at times too aggressive and take himself out of plays, and teams will look to take advantage of that. Like we were talking earlier about how do you stop the screen pass? It's system discipline. And I think Thibodeau could be a guy that gets himself up, gets caught with a run play inside because he gets upfield too fast. But yeah, I could see that. I think Jermaine is a very good player. I hope if we don't get Thibodeau, he's my number 2. For me, it's Thibodeau 1, Johnson 2, Hutchinson 3.
What do you think, Buffalo, about that? What do you think of Jermaine Johnson compared to Thibodeau?
Yeah, I think Hutchinson, Thibodeau. Well, Hutchinson's probably not going to be there. Thibodeau would be ideal, but for me, any other edge besides Jermaine Johnson at 4 would feel like a little bit of a reach. I'm not saying I still wouldn't do it just because it's such a dire need. But if we're coming away with like a Trevon Walker or a George Karlaftis at 4, I'm not going to be feeling good about that.
To answer my own question, that would piss me off. And I don't think JD does that. I think JD knows draft positional value as well as field positional value. So I think we're safe. It's not the McCagnon, Idzik. We needed an edge. We picked 4th. We're taking the 5th best edge. No. Hold on, buddy. So I think that I think we all have faith with Douglas to work the draft, maneuver the board, not to reach. Even if he's got to trade out and take a little bit less of a value, just so he doesn't burn the pick, he can make more out of the trade picks that he gets and maybe trade twice to increase the value. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like I also think, I'd bet on the over that you see Douglas trade one of those 2 picks, and if the board falls, just say, Hutchinson, KT, or Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, KT. I'm just shooting. I think that's prime opportunity for JD to trade down out of 4. I don't think we sit at 4 and 10, to be honest with you. I think we're going to trade one of those picks.
Agreed.
Without a doubt. And Trayvon Walker, he's a very polarizing prospect. Very, for some of the.
Let Detroit take him. Go ahead, Detroit. Take him and eliminate any doubt or any questions from us. Hell, Jacksonville. He's been rumored to be number 1. Go ahead.
It's crazy. And then you become a hater, and it's like, dude, it's not my fault that somebody put the 23rd best player in the draft at number 2 in their mock draft. I'm not saying he can't play. But he had 9.5 sacks in his career. Jermaine Johnson had more sacks last year than Trevon Walker did in his whole college career. I know he was a combine warrior, but I need more production.
And Walker played on a D-line full of round 1 and 2 prospects where you weren't the threat. Name someone else on Florida State's D-line. I'll give you $100 if you can without Googling it.
Yeah.
You can't, but you can name multiple guys on Georgia.
Well, and that's the thing.
Who are probably better prospects too.
If you watch any Georgia game, because I happen to watch a lot of them, whether it was in the season or after the fact when I was kind of doing my due diligence on some of these prospects. And if you're looking at, the top 60 prospects in this, you're looking at 5 or 6 defensive players from the Georgia team. Yeah. And Trayvon Walker, a phenomenal athlete. He's an A+ athlete. I think he's more athlete right now than he is defensive end.
He's Jadeveon Clowney. We've seen it before. It's called Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
So switching to the other side of the field, and I'll start with this one. J. Cole wants to know what you'd give up for Debo. I'm assuming what we give up for Debo is I don't want to give up multiple picks. But Debo is one of the people just like Hill. He's one of the guys that we can give up a lot of draft capital that I could, as much as it would pain me, be that kick in the gut because I love draft picks, I could live with. Debo obviously is very special. He knows this system really well. We know exactly how he would be used and what, how amazing he would be for our offense. But I would imagine we'd give up as much as we would for the other big names we've talked about, like A. Brown.
We give up what we offered for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, because we would probably.
What was that? Both of the seconds and the third? Is that what that was? The Hill was?
In a second, because he'll fit the scheme. He knows the scheme. He'll be more impact than Tyreek Hill would.
He's younger than Tyreek Hill. He had almost 1,800 scrimmage yards and 12 touchdowns last year. I think you could.
And we have our number 2 running back to pair with Metcalf, to pair with Carter.
Exactly. I mean, he's accomplished more in this league as a running back than half all the running backs on our roster besides Tevin Coleman. Even though I like Michael Carter, but I would do it. I would do it because he's arguably the best non-quarterback in the league. I mean, you can make that argument. You can make that argument. Throw him, TJ Watt, a lot of guys in there. Situationally, red zone, short yardage. He's going to be money. He fits the system. He's a dog. He's young. So if we could do it without giving away one of those first round picks, and you're not going to have to, because when you're going to trade for a guy and then pay him the bag, the price is less. The price is always going to be a little bit less in terms of compensation when you have to pay a guy, because that's why they're trading him, because they don't want to pay him. So for me, we probably wouldn't even have to part ways with the number 10 pick.
See, no. But here's a question to that. Here's a question to that point. Is San Francisco really looking to trade him? I know that Debo erased all his, San Francisco stuff off his Twitter and this, that, and the other thing. But I find it hard to believe. And as much as I would love him, as much as I would love A.J. Brown, as much as I'd love DK Metcalf, there's nothing in me that really ever thought that they were going to get traded by their teams. You know what I mean? Especially not to the Jets. And maybe the DK Metcalf thing soured me on it, because there's not a snowball shot in hell that Seattle was going to deal again with the Jets. I just feel that, and deep down in my heart, we can trade with 30 other teams. Seattle's never going to be one of them. Not for anything of substance, for sure.
Not with this regime.
No, absolutely not. There's the risk value in Seattle. Saving face is just too high. I mean, everyone.
They're still butthurt.
Oh my God, are they ever? And
Joe Douglas will call them up. He'll be like, "Hey, we're interested in DK Metcalf. We will give you one of our kickers, and we will give you Hennessy, our long snapper." And Seattle will be like, "God damn, deal." Wait, what just happened? Did it happen again?
Yeah.
Call up Houston, see if we can get
Blake
Caston
Hennessy for a 5-year, $80 million deal to be the long snapper.
I just don't think I just don't see these guys, which they're all top whatever in the chat. They're all top guys in the in the league at their position. I just don't see them really readily being available. You know what I mean? AJ Brown, Debo Samuel. I can't spin away that Tennessee or San Francisco really gets rid of them. You know what I mean? I just don't. I know money talks, salary cap is what it is.
I'm just looking for the draft at wide receiver at this point. I've kind of moved those. A lot of feel like pipe dreams to me. So I'm just looking wide receiver at 10. I agree with you, Dom. Just to answer the question, I would do it. Any of the guys that have been brought up, AJ Brown, Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, I would offer similar to what we did for Tyreek Hill. AJ Brown probably a little bit less. I think he's a little bit a tier down. But I'd be willing to give up some serious draft capital to do it, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Guys,
I think
I want to take a second to welcome new people in the chat. Brianna Channel, Real 84, just some new names. So want to make you feel welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us.
What's up, guys?
Jets gang, I didn't get to say hello to you. Thanks, Phenom. Thanks for subscribing the other day, and thanks for being here today. Wanted to welcome Stephen Higginson. Thanks for I don't know how long you've been watching the channel, if you subscribed yet or not, but please give me the sub, give me the like, and welcome to our channel. I like your comment. And Wild Wave, you seem new as well, so welcome everybody. Appreciate you being here. So it's making it, and Rob Santiago. So we got a lot of new people. So I just want to make sure everybody knows we see you, or we welcome you, and we hope you're enjoying the content.
I want to add something too.
Yeah.
I noticed. Congratulations to you. I saw you're at 405 on the subs. You hit the 400 mark. So good work, buddy. I know you've been grinding and working really hard the last couple months, and I'm enjoying being a part of the ride. So good luck to you, man. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody that's been supporting. I really appreciate it. So there was some comments about Debo wanting to be the highest paid player in non-quarterback in the league. Does that concern you at all if we were to make a move for him?
I mean, you got to go what, $30.5 million a year.
So $30,500,000.
I mean, he better score 30 touchdowns a year. I want my money's worth. I'll pay $1 million a touchdown, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't deny the talent. The guy's going to get the bag somewhere. You know what I mean? Is any wide receiver worth $31 million a year? I don't know.
Not in a run-first scheme.
Yeah, I beg exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Exactly what I was going to say. I beg to differ in the scheme that we want. You know what I mean? Where we want to pound it, we want to hit the play action. Ideally, that's the goal. That's the aim. Last year was an anomaly because everything was kind of shift on the fly. You had no weapons, you had no line, you had a rookie quarterback who was doing everything, everything but seeing ghosts like the last quarterback. So I think the way to really see the next step in Zach and really protect Zach is to build everything around him. Let him, build the offense from the ground up, meaning from the backfield up. Let's get 4 yards. Let's get four yards of carry and pound the ball, and not put all the pressure on Zach. And I think that's exactly with all the free agents that we brought in, the 2 tight ends, the fact that we, although we've tried, the Tyreek Hill thing was interesting or tantalizing or close as far as us Jet fans see it. I don't know how close it was on Tyreek's camp's end, but we were definitely in the ballpark. I know we sniffed around Amari Cooper and so on and so forth, but I think that the goal is still here to do everything to put Zach to not be a game manager, but to be a game manager. You know what I mean? We don't want to put the pressure and just have him have to win games right now.
They're trying to set him up to be successful in the role they have carved out for him.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like we were talking earlier before you came on, being efficient, third down conversion rates. Like we don't expect 5,000 yards and then for Matthew Stafford season, we don't expect that because that's not what this offense is at this point.
Right.
I said earlier, Tom Brady started off like this, but then 6, 7, 8 years in, all of a sudden he was throwing 50 touchdowns the year with Moss and Welker. So the QB can evolve and the scheme around him can evolve over time. But right now we're run first, third down conversion, take advantage of the big play and hit the point down to Corey Davis when it's there. But move the damn chains, stay on the field, and give the defense a chance to rest and be successful and play complementary football. Like that's where we're going to be in the 15 to 20 range, I think, offensively this year. But I think more importantly, Kevin said red zone conversion rate, third down conversion rate. There's other stats I'm more interested in than how many yards did he throw for? How many touchdowns did he get? Are we staying on the field? Are we winning time of possession? Things we've been getting our asses kicked in. Are we winning the turnover battle? Things we've been getting pummeled in the last couple of years that haven't given us a chance to win. And maybe we make a little comeback, but we fall 6-7 points short. But we had 3 turnovers in the first half and 42 yards of offense. But we almost came back and won the game. So if more consistent football and and situational football is what I'm really looking forward to this team growing in this year.
Guys, I just want to say we hit 43 viewers at one point. And I want to tell everyone out there, you might not know this about me, but one of the things about my channel is, and one of my promises, I give stuff away, and we're at 45 now. If we hit 50, we're giving away Spock, an action figure in the box from the 1990s, an unopened Spock. I think it's, what is he? Ambassador Spock action figure. We're really close, so don't anybody leave, because I'm thinking we might actually hit 50 and have to give that Spock away.
I remember when you were a young pup doing giveaways at 30s a couple of weeks ago.
Giveaways used to be 30.
Look at how you grow so quick.
We're closing in on 50. Well, it's you guys too, so don't give me all the credit. J. Cole wants to start another discussion, and I think it's about time we start talking about this. It looks like a good question. Say Sauce and Jameson Williams are both on the board at 10. Who do you take?
You take the best offer and you trade out.
Wow, you don't take either of those guys.
I could trade back and get Jameson Williams. Someone's going to pay for Gardner if they haven't paid already.
What do you think, Buffalo?
Yeah, for me, ideally, the draft would go KT at 4 and then a trade out at 10 to like the teens, or maybe the furthest I would go back is like Pittsburgh at 20. And then you could recoup. And, it depends. Like if someone's coming up quarterback, you got to pay a tax. Like if you're coming up to get what you think is your franchise quarterback, I want your first round pick next year and then probably some change. But at the very least, I'm picking up another second round pick, and I could still get maybe if I wanted, and even if I'm waiting on Jameson Williams and he's not there and I got to go Treylon Burks, but I have now I have another pick 40. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, now you can package that 40 pick with one of our twos, and you can come back up in round 1 and maybe get somebody like Nakobe Dean or Burks, or even if Williams. Imagine if I'm throwing a crazy scenario out. Imagine we trade back a little bit and say we take, I don't know, 17 or 18, whoever's there. That's the pick that comes up to us. Say we take Chris Olave there, right? Because Jameson went, Garrett Wilson's gone. And I think Olave is a better scheme fit for us than London. We talked about that the other night in length. But now, well, what if you move up a little bit and then you get another receiver and say you come out with Olave, Burks. Now you got Davis, Olave, Burks, Moore are your top 4, with Berrios being your gadget guy, right? Like a role that I think he fits in better than being on the field all the time. That's really setting up for success. I don't think Joe would double dip that early, but hell, we've been talking about draft for 4 months. We got to come up with some different scenarios to discuss every so often.
I'm all for the trade down also. At 10, if those are the two best options or what Joe Douglas has on the board. I think they're both talented players. I'd love both of them in a Jets uniform for years to come. Not denying that. I just don't see it. I just don't see us going cornerback in the first round. And there's something in me. I don't know. Jameson Williams is a wonderful, wonderful player. I just don't know. I don't know how much that knee injury is going to weigh in, Douglas and the Jets regime's decision making.
Yeah,
so
I'd rather take. Oh, I'm sorry, Dom.
Go ahead.
I just like with the ACL. For me, I've been going through like this, having to relearn how different the ACL injury is now than even if we think about like 2012, 2013, when Darrelle Revis popped his ACL, it felt like his career might be over. And nowadays it feels like a freaking sprained ankle. Jameson Williams is already doing like high knees, like 2 months after surgery. But I think Nick brought it up, and I don't know if you were in here, Dom, yet, but he said, this is a 5, 6, 7 year plan. And for me, the analogy is, look, if you're leasing a car and you could get a Ferrari on a 5-year lease, but it's got to sit in your garage the first month, are you going to pass that up for a Range Rover that you could drive off the lot? Like, no, I'm going to wait for the Ferrari. So if you think Jameson Williams is that Ferrari, which the more I watch of him, the more I think he is, there's the speed I can't unsee some of the plays where by the time he gets to the end zone, there's 15 yards between him and the nearest defender in the best football conference in America. And man, we haven't had, I mean, we had Robbie Anderson for a little bit. And then before that, maybe Santana Moss, like the best two deep threats we've had the past like 2 decades, if I'm not missing anybody. So, but I
We
hear
had
you.
Stephen Hill for one game.
Lavernius Cole too.
Stephen Hill against Buffalo for one game when he had 2 touchdowns with Sanchez. Then that was it.
So I hear you. I hear your point, and point well taken in regards to Williams. My thing, and listen, I don't think we're a playoff team. I might get kicked in the balls for saying that, but the reality is, ideally, we get 7 or 8 wins. I think we're headed in the right direction. That's my, I want to play competitive football after Labor Day, or after, around Halloween. I want to be competitive Halloween, Thanksgiving.
After Labor Day would be a good start for us,
Yeah.
right? Let's not ask for Columbus Day or Thanksgiving yet. Let's just do it after Labor Day.
So
I don't want to be Googling mock drafts already in November, man. It's
Yeah.
Well, and exactly that's what happened to me this year. I started looking into these prospects because yet again, September was such a bad month for us. But to the point, I digress. I see the big picture, how Williams, we're hoping that he can come back. I hope that that the knee injury doesn't take away any of that speed, doesn't take away any of that shiftiness that what his game is built around, and I'm sure that it is. The ACL injuries have really developed to almost being a non-factor. You see it, 6 months in their back, 7 months in their back. But the thing that irks me about it, the thing that I question is, all right, so he doesn't play for just say a month. Let's just use that as a barometer. First 4 games, he misses the first 4 games. How much catch up does he have to play? Is the timing, is the connection with Zach there? Is it a lost season at that point? I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, is the long-term juice worth the squeeze? Probably, but I guess it depends how you rate the other guys. You know what I mean? Like you said, that you use the Ferrari to Range Rover scenario. What if James Williams is your Ferrari and Garrett Wilson or Drake London or Treylon Burks is, the Ferrari that's a year older and, not the same color that you like,
That's a good
where
take. That's a good point.
they're in the same tier, or close to it enough, but you have them right off the bat. You can build that connection with Zach, so on and so forth. Cause that's what he was missing last year. I mean, when him and Corey Davis were on point for a while, early on, you could tell that Zach looked for Corey, so on and so forth. Once he got hurt, I mean, it was a hot mess. So I'd like to have that team built and have that going right from the get-go. And that's the only thing that scares me about Jameson Williams is how much catch-up is he going to have to play when we're in, late September, early October, mid-October, where, these are the games that we want to be competitive with. And now he's playing catch-up, because he's missed, training camp in the first 4 or 5 weeks.
I look at it from the other side of it. What type of mid-season acquisition is that, putting that talent out there?
Yeah.
And now it's for the long term. So I think fans get too obsessed with when we draft someone. He's got to be there opening day. No, he's got to be there the next decade. And when he's making all pros and Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl and leading us to conference championships and having huge games, we're going to forget, he didn't play the first 7 games?
Yeah.
No one's going to give a shit at that point.
Nick, you're making my point. That's the same argument I make for Derek Stingley Jr. being CB1 in this draft. No one's going to forget that he didn't play last year or the year before, so on and so forth. I'm saying it kind of tongue in cheek here, but
cornerback is not a premium position with this defense. It's all about the front. We went into depth with that before you joined us. I don't know if you were watching before you came in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying.
Yeah, if I would say with edge rusher, if Thibodeau had a knee issue, right, I would still take Thibodeau at 4 because you're taking him long term. You're not taking him for September. Who gives a shit if he plays the games in September? That's not going to mean anything for the long-term improvement of this team.
Look, if you believe he's the next Tyreek Hill, if you're JD and you believe he's the next Tyreek Hill,
I say Devontae. I see Devontae.
Or Devontae, whatever. If you believe that this is going to be the guy, are you really going to throw it all away and let somebody else have him because he's not going to be there in the beginning in a year?
You're going to let him slide to New England?
In a year where you don't expect to compete for a Super Bowl anyway. But
if you're going to let him slide to New England, you better take Gardner because you need to fucking cover the guy now.
But going consumer 114, and guys, remember to be respectful because some of you I don't want any disrespectful reaction to this because I know people get very emotional when someone points out that they don't think somebody's good that a lot of people think is good. Okay. But he's saying, why would you pay a wide back $30 million? He has done it for 1 year and has injury concerns and has 12 drops. He really isn't a good receiver. I'm going to go to Buffalo first. What do you think about that?
He's referring
to Samuel. Talking about Debo.
Yeah. Well, I think the one valid point here is that he had the one breakout year last year, but I also think the counterpoint to that is you're getting an ascending player who's young and 30 million. I don't know. Like Stephon Diggs didn't get what Tyreek Hill got. So it's not, you don't necessarily have to pay him 30 million, but you're getting a guy who's going to lead all receivers in scrimmage yards and probably in touchdowns and change the life of our offense. So I do it. And then there was another comment up there that I missed about a similar topic. Someone saying we don't need Debo. We have Elijah Moore. And okay, I agree. I think Elijah Moore is going to be really good. But I think as fans, we have to kind of step back because we always think our guys are better than they actually are. Like me and Jeremy had the same exact conversation. Like however good Elijah Moore ends up being, it's going to be not as good as I think he is right now. That's just the way it is. Like we overrate our own players. So, and I had to check myself with this because I was looking at a message board and it was Lions fans. And there was a Lions fan on there saying, we're good at wide receiver because we have St. Brown, who popped as a rookie last year, who was not taken in the first round like Elijah Moore wasn't, but who was more durable and more productive than Elijah Moore was last year. I think Elijah Moore is more talented, but St. Brown is more productive and more durable than Elijah Moore last year. And I thought that is the dumbest thing in the world to think you're good at receiver because you have this guy. So I think if
they receiver, they had Herman Moore. So they just need one guy, according to they had Calvin Johnson. They just need one guy, and then they're okay.
Yeah. So I think and also not wanting to bring in new players isn't always an indictment on the players on the roster. Like, what if I told you, more than one receiver can be on the field at the same time? And the LA Rams, when they brought in Von Miller and Leonard Floyd, that's not because they thought Aaron Donald was a bum. When they brought in OBJ and drafted Van Jefferson, that's not because they didn't like Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. Are we going to make those same kinds of moves? No, we're not in a Super Bowl window. But I think that's a change of mindset that we have to have, that it's okay to upgrade at a position and still like the guys we have there. Debo, 30 million and giving up the picks. I'd be excited to get him. I'm not going to lie. That would be a gut punch though, man, to lose our 2 second-round picks and our 3rd-round pick and to pay him. That's like the Tyreek Hill. I think if we made that deal, it'd be exciting. We'd be Tyreek drunk. But I think we'd be a little Tyreek hungover, man, missing out on those 3 picks and the 30 million. I still would have done it, but it's a tough pill to swallow. I get where you're coming from, dude.
And I guess we were talking about before. We were talking
the
about
scenario I threw out.
About 2 wide receivers. So I'll let you address it since it's a response.
I was just throwing out a different scenario, Chris. It's not something that I think is probable, but with months and months and months of draft talk, sometimes I just throw out different scenarios for discussion points. I'm very big on 3 of our first 4 being defense. I did a mock the other day, and I took Thibodeau 4. I took Jameson Williams at 10. I took Scene, the safety, and then I took Devontae White. So I took 3 of my first 4 were defense. I'm constantly doing that. I don't see maybe a running back in 3. But I think 3 of our first 4, serious discussion, 3 of our first 4 picks, I think are going to be defense, and a wide receiver. That should be the first ones.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we were at 49 in the stream. We're at 48 right now. We were so close to 50 in that giveaway. Look, this is historical for the channel right now, guys. So, I got to cut into the conversation sometimes.
That's fine.
Guys
Do
know
it,
that
man.
you're part of this, and it's an exciting thing for me. So we were at 49 at one point. People, don't leave.
Oh,
Don't
come
leave.
on,
Wait
people.
till two
Hold
more
on. Let me
people.
get my wife in the other room. Let me get her. Let's go.
If we hit 50, we're giving away Admiral Spock toy action figure unopened in the package. I'd love to do it. I've been waiting so long for it. So
If you have a 1980s Hulk Hogan rubber figure still in the package, I'll create 10 accounts on YouTube right now. I'll become J. Cole Jr. because I'll have 10 accounts.
I got one in the other room. Not in the package. Not in the package. Still those old school Hulk Hogan, Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov. My kids still play with them. And they were mine.
I had 70 of them.
Yeah.
Everything I got as a kid. I'm 43, so I was born in 78. So when that blew up in 85, Christmas, I would get like 6 of them. Birthdays, I'd get them. My dad and my uncle would go to the store and be like, "Oh, you don't have this one yet." And you know what stupid ass me was doing at 7, 8 years old? Biting their fucking noses off and destroying them.
Oh boy. So I got a question for you guys. Now,
Yeah.
As my son says next to me, "Oh, I did that with mine too."
I got a question for you guys. I know Jeremy's answer to this, but we're talking about Jameson Williams a lot. Is Jameson Williams wide receiver 1 on your boards?
Yes. He
Buffalo,
was before the knee injury. In late November, early December, before Seattle won a game or two, we were mocking at 5 and 7 a lot, or like 4 and 7 we were at.
Yes.
And I was taking like Kenyon Green when he was really high, or Neil, and then I was taking Jameson Williams. I love the kid. I think he is going to be an elite pro. Now, when I say Devontae Adams, I'm not talking about leading the league in receptions. We're not going to have that type of offense. I'm talking about route running, footwork, efficiency is going to be very high. I don't think at this point in time we're going to have guys with 130 catches. I don't think the quarterback's there. I don't think the system is there. I don't think the familiarity will be there. But if you got Moore and Jameson Williams, I mean, prorated with if Williams comes in, has 40 catches in half the season, I think that's really, really good start. If he comes in this year and after a couple games has like that 4-game span of what Elijah Moore had this year, and now Elijah Moore goes to another level, our offense is going to be very, very good because you're adding that to the line in the run game. So I'm about efficiency, and I think if you have Elijah Moore and you have
sorry.
Williams,
we did it. We're at
50.
50. We're at 50. Finish what you're saying while I get the Spock.
I thought it would be right next to him, completely honest with you. I thought he had it like right here. Like, here it is. You hear me, Jay? I'm surprised you had to get up and get it. I'm surprised it wasn't right next to you.
So we're going to be giving this away because we hit 50. We hit 50 in the stream, and I promised a while ago that when I get up to 50, I'm going to give away, and I hope people are into Star Trek. I have a lot of good basketball cards. There's so many good things that, when I hit milestones, I'm going to give away. I have some really special things. I have a Stephon Marbury rookie card, and it's the only card I've looked, and it says it's untouched. I mean, I took it out of the package.
That's a Timberwolves. Who drafted him?
It's his rookie. I forget. I think it's Timberwolves. It's his rookie card.
Yeah.
And it said when I looked it up on eBay and all the places I saw it, it was anywhere from $40 to $50. And I know that it's in mint condition because everything's perfect on it. I just slid it right into plastic. So things like that will be given away for, but it's going to be Spock tonight. So I hope there's a lot of people in the chat that like science fiction.
Can I address this comment on screen before we move on? Because I know once we do that, you're going to do something with the chat, and then it'll get buried.
We don't have to do it right this second. I just wanted everybody to know that we're going to be giving this away real soon within the next 10 minutes. So hang in there.
Nice. Also a good way to keep the 50 viewers in here. Very smart on your part. Look at you being a savvy vet. It says the real problem with the Jets is their ownership. I completely disagree because I've said it dozens of times. From 2010 to 2019, in that decade, the Jets spent $970 million in free agency, only second to Washington. The ownership wants to win. The ownership cuts the checks. The ownership has never restricted the guys running football from doing what they need to do. The problem is they had made some bad hires with the guys running football. Now that they have a guy in that is respected league-wide, the only thing you hear about the Johnsons are he's trying to buy a soccer team and they're donating to the Ukraine. That's what you need your NFL owners to be. When you have the right football people in place, you shut the F up, you let him do his job, and you're hands off, and all you say, you need me to sign this check? Done. This check? Done. This is Joe Douglas's organization.
Yep.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Joe is running football. He doesn't need to clear anything with anyone. He just needs to get the check signed. They trust Joe to do what's best for the organization. I say this all the time, too. Robert Kraft is not a better owner than anybody else because he got Bill Belichick. He doesn't know football more than any other owner. He just struck lightning in a bottle and traded for a coach that wasn't wanted, who had very poor and limited success as a head coach. And he ended up being the greatest coach ever, right?
And a 6th-round quarterback that ended up being the GOAT.
Yeah. Like, that doesn't make Robert Kraft a better owner than anybody else. Like, I love his macaroni and cheese. I could eat that shit every day. But I don't think he's a better owner than anybody, because if Joe Douglas ends up leading us and Salah end up leading us where we need to go, it doesn't improve my opinion of the Johnsons. Just like if them spending poorly shouldn't lower it. They're owners. They're not football guys.
But don't you think that hiring the right football guys should fall on them if they have failed to do that for a long time?
No, because they're still not football people. That's why they went out and got the consultants to lead the hiring for McCagnon, right? The problem was they were trying to be football guys. GM reports to us, coach reports to us. No, hire the GM, let the coach report to the GM, and you just sign the checks, dude. I think they wanted to be more than they are or than they're capable of being, and I think that was an issue. But now that it's hands off, it's Joe Douglas, Joe runs football, we're fine with it. I think they finally settled it. I think their desire to want to win so bad made them kind of get out of their comfort zone and made them press a little bit, right? Like if you want a girl and like she's not really like giving you the attention, maybe you press a little too much, right?
You
show
double
too much interest. Yeah, you double down on everything, right? I think that's what they were doing. And now they're like, oh, wait. You're going to run it? Good, bro. Take all the pressure off of us.
Okay, now, when we have this little, before we move on to another topic, we're going to give this sucker away. But we got to figure out how. Do I do it via trivia question, or do I do it via guessing a number randomly?
You want me to look up a question? You want me to look something up?
Yeah, look up a Jets trivia question. It's easier to track that way than numbers because we always get the wrong numbers. And thank you, Payo Time.
What kind of difficulty do you want here? Give me like a 1 to 5. 1 being the easiest, 5 being the most difficult. What level, like type of question do you want?
How about like a 3? People are going to look it up anyway, which is fine. It's just going to be the first who can get the answer into the chat. Jets mess. I don't want you to waste time typing Lee Cravat. I get it. But I don't want you to lose. I want you to have a chance to win. So, because he's going to type Lee Cravat. He loves to guess my brother for everything. So, one day I'm going to make that the answer. So,
I'm gonna message you in the private chat the question so you sign off on it, all right?
Okay.
So while he's doing that, Buffalo, back to what the question I asked. Jameson Williams, you're number 1?
Yeah, he just recently, like literally in the last week, I've gone him over Garrett Wilson. And I think because and just cut me off, guys, whenever you're ready to jump to the giveaway. I think that the speed the Tyreek Hill factor, and if we're NBA fans, I call it the Steph Curry factor. When Steph Curry takes one dribble over half court and he's in his range, just like when Tyreek Hill steps on the field, when Jamison Williams steps on the field, and they can take the top off the defense at any moment, I think that threat impacts the defense and opens up more things for your offense in more ways than even the most advanced analytics can calculate. So that for me, that 18 yards per reception, he averaged on deep targets, balls that are thrown 20 yards or more in the air. Jamison Williams averaged 51 yards per catch last year on deep targets. So that for me puts him over Garrett Wilson. But if it's close, like I think Dami made a great point. If it's close, neck and neck, go with the guy who's healthy.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're ready to go. We got the question. So everybody in the chat, get your typing fingers ready. Some of you might know this one without looking it up, but there's a chance.
Be a man. No Google.
There's a chance that somebody will know. Now, guys, answer the question completely in one answer. Don't sporadically write names, because you're going to have to name 4 names. So do not write one name, send it, and then another name. That's not going to count. It has to be all 4 in one chat, or like whatever you want to say.
And it does not have to be in order.
It does not have to be in order.
You want to ask?
I have a feeling I know the question. I didn't look at the private chat. I swear to you, but I have a feeling I know the question.
Name. Ready, everybody? This is to win Spock. Name somebody already guessed Mark Sanchez. Somebody name the 4 first rounders the Jets selected in the 2000 draft.
I knew it. Once you said 4, I knew it.
I think it came up on Green Bean's channel recently.
Oh, did it?
Maybe. I think so. So it's got to be all in one answer, guys.
Dark Soldier got it.
Dark Soldier got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he did it in order.
Wow. Dark Soldier. I think I still have your address. So
I was going to name the top 5 because the 5th pick was Lavernius Coles in the 3rd round.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So finally, this has been given away and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy. Dark Soldier, thanks. You've been a supporter for so long. So, I'm very happy that it's going to you, and good job. Good work, man.
Nice work. Like he was probably on the same page as you, Dom.
Yeah.
And as soon as Jeremy said 4 names, he's like, boom. Roll the dice, right?
That's
amazing. Yeah, that was fast.
And I would have had, I knew, knowing that was the question, or assuming that was the question, I wouldn't have got it as fast as him, because I forgot. I would have had to think hard about Beck's, who number 3 was.
3 was Chad. 4 was
Anthony 4. I'm sorry, 4. Who number 4 was? Yeah.
Off the top of my head, forgive me if I'm wrong. I think 12 was Ellis. 13 was Abraham. Was Chad 18 or 20? Or 22, and then Beck was 28. I think
Chad was 20. Somebody in the chat can probably look at that up, but I'm pretty sure Chad was 20.
This is funny. Watch it. That's funny. Some people fall behind. They don't realize they're not live, so they're still answering. I love when that's happened to me like a million times.
If you're on like a phone and you leave the app and you come back in, it actually pauses it, and then you're like, a minute and a half behind. But the chat will be live, but your video will be behind when you're watching it.
Okay, J. Cole, I mentioned it. Okay, I showed it. You don't have to keep saying it over and over again. It's like J. Cole, best wishes to Gitmo Bob. He had surgery earlier in the week. As far as we know, I know he's okay as far as the surgery went well, and he was in the chat last night and with Green Bean. So he's okay, and he's conscious. And so we're sending him some stuff. Yeah,
awesome.
Everybody's sending him different things. We're gonna J. Cole wants to send the 3 packs of unopened 1989 football cards to him. So we're doing that, and I'm throwing in some other stuff too, some Jets cards that I think he'll like.
Dark Soldier just commented too. Ellis is 12, Abraham was 13, Chad was 18, and Beck was 27.
Nice. So he really just he owns that answer. So all right, let's get back on track. Let's
Dark Soldier Bill Parcells, is he the one who made those picks? is that how he knew that so quickly?
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah, right.
No, his kids are too young to be Bill Parcells. So because Bill Parcells doesn't have young kids in the house, and I know
He's too
that
humble to be Bill Parcells, it seems like.
and Parcells, the way his sour grape sounds, he wouldn't be following a Jet podcast.
And Ryan says, so it wasn't Mark Sanchez. So all right. So anyway, that was an amazing draft. Great question, Nick. Thanks for doing it. So what were we talking about? We were talking about the last thing that Dom was asking about was Jameson Williams, right? And will you guys talk about? Were you asking why we like him?
No. I was just, since he was the, going back to the J. Cole question, you're at 10, Sauce or Jameson. And we got to talk about Jameson. I just asked, I know he's your number one wide receiver on your board. I know he's your favorite receiver in the class. I was just wanting to see what Nick and Buffalo thought as well.
Right.
What, give me your guys' top 3 receivers. Scheme fit for the Jets, not receivers in the draft. Scheme fit.
I'm gonna differ from you guys for sure. I think this is not how I think scheme fit for the Jets. I really think Drake London would be a great fit for the Jets, and I'm going to tell you why.
I think he's the one that's not the scheme fit.
No. I think
he fits a more vertical downfield passing attack, like a Tampa offense with Mike Evans. Like I see him as that physical guy downfield. I don't see him as a great West Coast slant timing pattern guy.
He did a lot of damage more on those short 5 to 10 yard flat routes, slants, and stuff like that. That's where he does a lot of his work. I mean, yes, he's a contested catch freak, great body, long arms, big catch radius.
Okay.
But where he gets his separation, because I know the thing with Drake London, everyone always talks about is, he can't separate off the line. He does separate. He doesn't separate like Jameson Williams, but he knows how to use his body. He uses his length very well. He might have a guy closer on his hip pocket when running a route than Jameson Williams does. But he uses his long catch radius, those big, strong hands that he has. And he's always taking everything. He's always taking everything forward. I mean, he's a physical receiver. He played a lot of big slot at USC. That's what a lot of people don't realize. You think of him, big guy on the outside, so on and so forth. True possession receiver. He played a lot of big slot. And I think that would be a perfect scenario to have him and Corey, Corey Davis is going to be, he's going to be your move. You can put Elijah Moore outside. You can, line up the matchups. Drake London's still going to run in the 4-5 range. You know what I mean? You line him up in the big slot and you get him on a linebacker or something like that. Game over. Absolutely. I think he's a great fit. He offers physically. He offers what the Jets don't have right now. He's again a true red zone threat. I like your rationale. You're thinking, Nick, in regards to Mike Evans, but I don't think he's the same wide receiver as Mike Evans.
Yeah.
I think I think his game, and he's very, very, for a big guy, he's very twitchy. You know what I mean? He's got that fast twitch stuff going on. So I like Drake London a lot. I think he's a great scheme fit for the Jets. He's my number 2 receiver. I still think Garrett Wilson would be number 1. And number 3, I don't know. I'm between. I really, really like Jahan Dotson. Also,
really?
I think, I'm not going to say he's, I wouldn't put him necessarily. I wouldn't say I'd put him above Jameson Williams or Treylon Burks. Probably right there, though. He's closer on
above Olave.
I'm sorry.
Above Olave.
Above Olave.
Wow. All right.
I think. I think Olave's. I think he's probably the most pro ready out of all those receivers.
Okay.
But if we're talking scheme fits for the Jets, Olave can take the top off the defense. Olave's, he does that very well. But I think scheme fit for if that's what we're talking about, scheme fit for the Jets.
Yeah.
I'd like Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson's magic with the ball in his hands. I mean, quick, shifty, reliable. Tough with the ball in his hands. I really like him. I really like the player.
All right. Kev, what about you?
Just specifically on scheme fit, my top 3 guys would be Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave. I think the pro comp that you made, Nick, with Adams, I hadn't thought about with Williams, but the more that I'm thinking about that, I think that, and I've been struggling to find a comp for him because it's like he's not Deshaun Jackson, he's 6'2", so I like that. And then obviously, the separation, the yards after catch ability, the route running with the other guys. Olave, I think, is kind of being slept on. I mean, even as recently as January, there was a lot of people who had him over Garrett Wilson as like the best wide receiver at Ohio State, and Wilson has kind of overtaken him in the pre-draft process. Olave reminds me of Calvin Ridley, maybe not your number one receiver in a prototypical sense, but can give you number one wide receiver production in a good offense. Jahan Dotson, I love him, Dom. He's got the best hands in the class. He actually reminds me of Elijah Moore.
Yep.
So I don't think he falls to 35. So I think we might be he might fall in between us. Probably not good enough to take at 10. Not going to be there at 35. So I think we probably miss out on him unless we trade up or back.
I've had him going to Green Bay. I've had Green Bay double dipping with Traylon Burks and Dotson or Sky Moore.
See, the thing is with
big guy, and then you had a speedster.
Yeah, the thing, and it makes sense. But the thing is, Green Bay, more so than any other team, they have their mold. They don't draft receivers that are under 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? I liken them more to, if Christian Watson's going to slip somewhere, if someone's going to, reach for him in the first round, he's the kind of guy that I think Green Bay goes after. They want their receivers big, they want them tall, they want them, so on and so forth. They're not going to take. I don't see them. If history, repeats themselves, I don't see them taking a smaller wide receiver. Even the guys that they have in the stable now. When they had Devontae,
Scantling.
Scantling's a bigger guy. Who's the other guy, man? I can't think of his name now. Not Randall Cobb. The other receiver. He's still on the team.
Why
can't I think of his name? I'm drawing a blank.
Come
on, chat. Somebody pull up the Green Bay.
It's not Lazard. Is he still there?
Yeah, Alan Lazard. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Alan Lazard's still there. Again, another bigger guy. They seem to
Jordy Nelson. I'm starting to think of them, and then you're right. That's a good point.
They seem to have a type. You know what I mean?
That's a good point that maybe I've known but never formulated and said it. So that's a good catch on your part.
So
you had Traylon Burks and you had Christian Watson, and then you let Rodgers work that magic in a very weak NFC.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a top 3 team in the NFC.
So the 3 players that I have now, I'm not considering what we already have, because I agree that if JD went like second rounds or traded down and took a bigger guy like a Drake London or a Burks or a Christian Watt, whatever, I would assume he wanted somebody to complement, right? And he wanted different things. But let's put that aside. When you say scheme fit, let's say we have nobody and we're starting over and with this draft, and we have, forget that we have Elijah Moore and Corey Davis and Berrios. Scheme fit, my 3 are Jameson Williams, because I think he's the best scheme fit for any team. I'm going to say Garrett Wilson, simply because Dom C. I trust Dom C. And and he got me to fall in love with Garrett Wilson. Is a very legitimate running wide receiver.
Garrett Wilson got you to fall in love with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, well,
you want to see him, the magic he puts on.
You pointed me in the right direction. And then there's another guy. This is going to surprise you. And I'm not saying he's the best fit, and I'm not saying he's going to work out completely. But as far as a guy that is built for this system, for what this system strives on, as far as the West Coast and the route running and the crispness and getting around the scrimmage, I'm going to say Sky Moore.
Sky Moore. The thing with Sky Moore, I think he's great also, but I think in the NFL, he is a slot. That's his role. He's just going to be a slot receiver, and I'm not comparing their two games, not saying it's a comp, but Barrios is just a slot receiver, right? So I don't see how the fit of bringing in another guy who can just play slot comes
No,
in.
I'm saying, just speaking from the point of, if we didn't have Barrios, if we had nobody, we were building a team, just from the sense of what kind of player fits our system.
Yeah.
So I know we would never take, like, we might not take him because of size, and we might want a bigger receiver. I just wanted to mention his name as a guy that is going to be very good if he ends up in a West Coast offense. Like, if he ends up in an offense that is going to feature really quick, fast, crisp route runners. I just wanted to give that guy his due, because I watched some of his tape and I just love his route running, and I love how fast and explosive he is off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
I'll say this about Sky Moore. I listened to an interview on, I don't know if it was the NFL Network or maybe it was around it was after the combine on the NFL Network on Sirius. And what a smart,
I'll be right back. I gotta get the boys some food.
What a smart kid. He interviewed well, he talked well. You could tell he was a student of the game. You can tell he was humble. I really that's what I took out of that interview. Is that, if you brought in a guy like Sky Moore, like whoever brings him in is going to have, a guy who's grateful to be in the league, a guy who's going to bust his ass for you. You know what I mean? That's what I like that about him.
Yeah.
Him and Dotson, they're going to go higher than people think. I want to ask you guys a question about wide receiver, because I've a big debate I've had with people is I'm a big proponent of wide receiver at 10.
Okay.
Even if it's a little bit of a reach, if they're the 15th best player on your board, you take him at 10 just to support Zach and fill that wide receiver one role. But a lot of people are saying you can get a good wide receiver in the second round. And I know that that's true, but I think I guess let me frame it this way. If the board falls how you think it's going to fall at 35, who do you think is going to be the best available wide receiver? Because I don't think it's going to be Jahan Dotson. I don't even think it might be Sky Moore getting past Green Bay, who might double dip. A lot of teams in the 20s. That's always a popular spot for wide receivers in the NFL draft, is the 24 to 30 range. And then, obviously there's three teams that pick ahead of us again in the second round.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How do you think that shapes out?
So depending on how, like you said, if the draft would fall, like I think it's going to fall, the big question is what happens between 20 and 32, right? Because you have, realistically, I'm off the top of my head here, so I might be missing one, but you have the Patriots at 21, right? That you could make an argument that they could look receiver.
Green Bay twice, Kansas City twice,
Buffalo,
the Titans,
Tampa Bay, the Titans, all these teams, and even Pittsburgh, right? Even Pittsburgh. If everyone,
and even the Cardinals lost Christian Kirk.
The Cardinals lost Christian Kirk as well.
Right. Or New Orleans at 19. Too.
Yeah.
I know you said 20 to 32, but still,
So that would be my thing. As I did my mock, my latest version of the mock draft. We put some out for Green Bean's page that I think is going out this week or so on and so forth. I have Jahan Dotson slipping into the second round. I think it's crazy. I think he, like you said, Buffalo, I think the guy is, if we talk about people being slept on, everyone sees Jahan Dotson and says, oh, another small guy. We have that in Elijah Moore. Like he's special. He has the best hand, arguably the best hands in this draft class. He's magic with the ball. And he, for a smaller guy, he plays a lot bigger than he is. So I think he would be the guy I think that could slip down. I'm not a huge George Pickens fan, or not to say that he's bad, but he's just he's not my cup of tea. But I think if we pass on wide receiver in the first round, realistically, with all the teams that are questionably, in need of wide receiver or could pick a wide receiver, I think you're going to be looking at, your best case scenario is going to be Jahan Dotson. Your best case
Mrs. Chaos.
Best case scenario is going to be Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, George Pickens in that tier of early second round picks.
So it's going to be Slim Pickens, is what you're saying?
Well played.
Yeah.
I want to talk to this comment on the screen from Chris. You can't pick offense when your defense was the worst in the NFL. Wide receiver is exciting, but we have to live in the real world. Our defense was an embarrassment. Got to use the first 3 picks on defense. I'm almost 100% with you. I think we used 3 of the first 4 on defense. We already added Reed, a cornerback. We added Whitehead, a safety. And don't forget, we're getting Carl Lawson back. So we're adding 3 of our most important pieces already to this. So adding a receiver will help our defense too. You know, it's domino effect. So adding a receiver to help keep our offense on the field longer, helping the defense rest, also helps the defense indirectly, right? The picks help directly, but indirectly adding a receiver to complement more and almost complete our offense is just as important as adding pieces to the defense. Because if you're doubling Elijah Moore and Corey Davis isn't beating one-on-ones, we're up shit creek. We need a guy that can be on the same level of Elijah Moore. We need a Williams. We need a Wilson. We need an Olave. And that's the short version of my 3 that fit us the best, because I think I love Treylon Burks, but I'm becoming more obsessed with elite route runners.
Yeah.
Because all the athletes in the NFL are going to wide receivers, and the cornerbacks aren't that good anymore because of the rules, right? You can't bump and run like Revis and Ty Law. You know, you don't have guys like Revis and Cromartie getting up in your face and eliminating your top receivers because they can. Nowadays, it's, hey, don't touch me. I'm a wide receiver, and you can run downfield like this and just catch open passes. So when you can put elite athletes out there at wide receiver, the way the rules of the league are structured right now, that helps your defense. When you're getting guys on 3rd and 6 and they're taking balls 25 yards after catching runs, that helps your defense.
Yeah. The more and more I watch Treylon Burks, the more and more I think he's going to be a traditional X at the next level. That's where I see him. I could see a team like Green Bay really, really liking Treylon Burks. I could see a team like Washington. I think he's a great fit in Washington. You put him opposite McLaurin, who can go all over the place. They have Curtis Samuel, who can play that slot, and he plays that wide back kind of that feel. I mean, I think that's a match made in heaven. I'm not saying that I think Washington will go Burks at 11, but I think the fit makes sense. I think I think he's an X, and I think he's, best case scenario, he's Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, I think that's a good. Well, that'd be a good fit too. And I think Nick, I really agree, and that's one reason why Treylon Burks, like for me, a couple months ago, there was a while where he was like neck and neck with some of the other guys to be my number 1 receiver, but I heard somebody say, and it's just really changed my mindset on this draft. And it's so simple, but I think it's really profound. And it's that when you're drafting guys in the first round, draft them and ask them to do exactly what you saw on tape. So if you want to project on traits or on ability, do that in the 3rd round. At the 10th overall pick, what did you do on tape? Did you use crisp route running to shake away tight coverage from high quality cornerbacks? And Treylon Burks was a beast, but he was not asked to do that.
Yep.
And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, all the guys, if you list the top 15 wide receivers off the top of your head in the NFL, you're going to name 13 great route runners, and you're going to name Deebo Samuel and Tyreek Hill. So you have to ask yourself, if I'm drafting a guy who's not a really good route runner, who can't run all 9 routes on the tree, are they Deebo Samuel, a unicorn, a starting running back and wide receiver, or are they Tyreek Hill? To me, the fastest football player I've seen him. I wasn't watching Deion Sanders, so to me, the past 20 years, the fastest player with the football in his hands I've ever seen. So that's a big question to ask on Treylon Burks if you're thinking about him at pick number 10.
That's valid. I don't think Burks can be a consideration at 10 because of the elite route running of the other guys we mentioned. But I think Burks will be.
Burks doesn't have a full route tree. I really,
agreed. And that's what bumped him down. and Jeremy knows when we first started talking, I was huge on Burks, but then
Yeah.
I fell in love with Burks in the Alabama game where he was the best player on the field in that game. He dominated Alabama's defense in that game, and it was my son's an Alabama fan. He's like, shh, as he walked by. Yeah, and the more I'm studying our offense and then what we require in it, and seeing what Elijah Moore did as a rookie with his crisp route running has made me route running obsessed.
Yeah.
You know, when you can run a good route, I say this, you know, Jeremy's heard me say this. Antonio Brown was able to play bigger than he was because when he would make his cut, he never slowed down in his cut. Elijah Moore does the same thing. They keep that same speed through the cut. So while you stumble and regain, how many times do you see a tall wide receiver jump and catch a contested ball on the sideline? Antonio Brown would be backpedaling, catching it here because he dogged the guy so bad in the cut. That's what I see with Elijah Moore. He's able to play bigger than he is because of the separation he can create with his crisp route running.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it with Stephon Diggs killing us twice a year with it.
Yeah, exactly. So you can never have enough of those guys, right?
Yep.
It's tougher to find good corners because of the rules. Load up on guys who can dog people, and then the offense will go to another level. Really good discussion. Something else I wanted to do like each week with doing the show with Jeremy. I'm big on like doing something like this: top threes, top fives. So something I wanted to throw out. We kind of discussed it a little bit the other day with someone asked in the chat about 90s players. Tom, how old are you? I think you're a little older than me, right?
45.
You're 45. I'm 43. Jeremy, you're
51.
51. All right, so we're kind of the same age. We grew up in the 80s. It's probably like most of the players that Kev. I think you're the baby of the group, right?
Yeah, 29.
29. Jesus Christ!
I hate him.
I got underwear older than you, son.
You're 29. You're Jeremy's two of you.
It's funny too because Jeremy's a school administrator and I'm a teacher, so I feel like I'm in a meeting with my boss. So I'm
and I always feel like I'm sitting with the principal. We'll do what's up, buddy? Okay, Padres have a no-hitter. He had to interrupt me and tell me that. What inning is it? The ninth. It's the ninth inning, and the Padres have a no-hitter on opening day. And being a Shine family member, I would bet $1 million the next batter gets a hit because my father had the jinx, I have the jinx, and we probably passed it on to my son as well. So log on to your FanDuel real quick and bet that. Give me your favorite 3 Jets defenders you've ever seen play.
Oh, I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
Marvin Jones, number 1. David Harris, probably 1A. We're talking pre-90, right? Or in that general
that you rooted for, that you've enjoyed watch playing.
Well, I'm not even say 1, 2, and 3. Marvin Jones, David Harris, Darrell Reeves.
Okay.
Darrell Reeves, more of the new school, but those are probably 3 of the defense. Marvin Jones was my favorite, man. What that guy could do, he defined for me. He epitomized true like sideline to sideline thumper.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I respect that in football players, like old school smack you in the mouth kind of football.
You did not want to meet him in the A gap.
No, absolutely.
You did not want to meet him head on. And kudos to the fullbacks that did have to take him on. Their careers probably got shortened because he hit very hard. Dad, what do you got?
For me, it's John Abraham. Because when I first started watching the Jets, right at the Vinny Testaverde, Curtis Martin, John Abraham, Jets, those are my Jets teams coming up.
Yeah.
And I remember and in 3rd grade, my mom got me a John Abraham jersey, and she got a 10X because she said I had to grow into it and wear it for years and years and years because she worked a lot of overtime shifts to buy it for me. So it's just kind of a nostalgia thing. Obviously, he's the best pass rusher we've never had an edge rusher as good as him since. I'm with and then my other 2 are the same as Dom C's. Darrell Revis, I think you can make an argument. I know he doesn't have the longevity as like a Champ Bailey or a Richard Sherman or a Deion Sanders, but I think for a 4 to 5 year stretch, he played the cornerback position as well as it's ever been played in the game.
Better than anybody.
I mean, you look at and against the competition. I mean, it was like against Moss and Owens and Chad Johnson and Megatron, Fitzgerald, goose egg.
Steve Smith. Yeah, that run was epic.
Unbelievable. And then David Harris. I think probably just the longevity and the professionalism. For me there, I know he was never quite like an all-pro player, but his dude who brought his freaking lunchbox to work every day and was a grinder. So I really liked him too.
Nice. And I got to add something to your response. I'm 14 years older than you. And when you talked about Martin and those guys, and that was your team coming up, you didn't miss anything because those were my teams coming up. Because so there was a really, really big window. Like your mom timed you perfectly with having you, because if you were born 10 years earlier, you probably wouldn't be a Jet fan. So good timing on mom's part.
What about you, Nick? What's your 3?
I'm a huge Victor Green guy from the 90s. I love Victor Green, the safety. Mo Lewis was my guy until the ramifications of hitting Bledsoe. So from that, he's been X'd out. That's an unforgivable sin in my book, creating the you ever see those things on like Twitter? If you can change one sport event that ever happened, what would it be? I always say, easy. Mo Lewis does not hit Drew Bledsoe. And I go, I'm taking this bullet for every team in the NFL. This is not just a Jet thing. I'm taking this sacrifice on behalf of everyone. Revis in his prime was a work of art. It was something that you'll probably never see again. The way the rules are structured now, you basically have Ty Law and Darrelle Revis to blame for it, because the way they manhandled receivers and got them off their routes, as fun as it was to watch for us, the league hated it because the league wanted offense, right? One year Tom Brady's throwing for 50 touchdowns and Randy Moss has 25. And then in the opening day, Revis picks off Brady twice, and then Moss couldn't do a damn thing. And the league goes like, wait a minute, this is preposterous. We need to change this. I'm going to be different. Like Marvin Jones is one of my favorite. David Harris is one of my favorites as well. I'm just trying to throw another name out there into discussion. Give me Sean Ellis, because Sean Ellis was reliable. We said earlier in the show, he wasn't flash. He was substance. He showed up, and I really wish we could have got to the Super Bowl. I think he was one of those guys who stayed with the Jets and then played a while, and I thought he deserved it as much as anybody. And my favorite moment was him picking up the giant snow boulder in Seattle and trying to throw it at the fans after we lost there. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
that was one of like the first like sports viral videos. Here's the Jets, Sean Ellis literally picking up Frosty and trying to like throw it in fans.
Wasn't that the Brett Favre year he did that?
Yes, 2008. And the reason I know it's the Brett Favre year, 2008, because my son was born in 2008, and he was born in September of 2008, and my ex-wife, his mom, wanted to have his christening on a Sunday. And if you remember, the Titans were like 11-1, and we were playing at the Titans, and literally the christening starts at 1:30. So we're sitting there with a 1:00 game. We're playing the Titans. It's the biggest game of the year so far. And right as the priest is about to walk down, I turn around to my father and go, Dad, Jets just scored again. My dad does a fist pump. Simultaneously, my mom hits my dad as my wife hits me. Like, shut up, are you kidding me? This is about to start. And all my boys in the back are like, let's go.
and Nick, you were right. San Diego just gave up a hit to Arizona, so no hitters over. No hitters over.
Anybody cash in on that? I told you.
My God. So I'm gonna show my age right now. And for me, my favorite 3, the first 2 are automatic, and it's just Klecko Gastineau. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I became a Jets fan. I became a Jets fan watching those two.
And they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. And for, I mean, for those out there, and I think Eminon is one of them. We'll get, he's saying Pleco Gastineau Jones. So Jones, if you were old enough to remember it and watch it, it was something that's beyond. It's hard to even describe what it was like. It was so much fun. We'd play a game. You didn't even, you wanted the other team to have the ball, so you could watch these two. Just and don't forget, Marty Lyons was no joke, and Abdul Salam had a couple of good years. Obviously, he was in there as the part of it, but Marty Lyons was also a great player. But Gastineau and Klecko together were it was just an amazing thing to watch. And my number 3 guy, even though he's not as good as Revis was, but I loved watching him play, and it was just a fun Jet who made football fun, was James Hasty.
James
And I
Hasty,
say that,
I was
and
gonna
I
say,
say that a lot, but he made it fun for me because in a time where we were like kind of our window was kind of closing, it was before a dark time. He made it fun because we'd be losing and getting crushed, and and it didn't matter. Like, he would deflect the pass and he would still be yapping and chirping, and players. He just was so funny. You could see it. He was the first guy you could see it on TV. Like before that, I never knew guys were talking so much on the field. But with James Hasty, you saw him. You knew he was talking. The way his head was shaking, he was barking at players.
Yeah.
He was so much. We would laugh. We'd watch the game and laugh and laugh. So I
Do you
love
know
James
one
Hasty.
of one of his secondary teammates was close to making my list, and he was very similar to Hasty, Eric McMillan at that time. Yeah. And those two were, I mean, we were winning 5 games, but those two talked like we were winning 15 a year, man. They were talking like we were the freaking 49ers going 14-2 every year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How about offense? 3 offensive players.
I started, so I'll defer this one to Jeremy. We'll go in reverse order.
Okay. I'm gonna say Mickey Schuler.
Nice.
Very
underrated.
Yeah. Wesley Walker. Man, I love
Wesley.
I guess it's hard, as many years that have went by and players that I love, you see how I go back in time, because you never love things like you love when you were a kid, So because when you're a kid, you have favorite players. Now I just love the whole team, and there are guys that, you know what I mean? It's like
it's more nostalgia conversation, right?
Yeah. So Mickey Schuler, Wesley Walker, and then I guess I'd have to say Curtis Martin.
Okay. All right, Kev.
I would say, well, one is Curtis Martin. Just because when I started watching the Jets, he was the best player on the team. And then I'd say in the same era, I'd say probably it was a little bit later, but probably Santana Moss. And I know he wasn't an All-Pro or anything like that, but I think as a kid, he was really exciting. Like, I remember the first game I ever went to, he returned a punt for a touchdown, and I just and we were late getting into the game, and like literally, we got my hot dog, my uncle's taking me in to get his beer, and we're coming out of the tunnel, and like as soon as we're coming out of the tunnel, it's like a movie. Like he's catching the return, and he takes it to the house, and it was just like so that's a nostalgia moment for me. And then as a couple of guys, it could be, but then probably just another receiver from that similar era, probably just Wayne Corbett, which I know may be kind of a Jets fan cliche. But he just felt like
he's the blue collar guy, man. Jets fans loved him. We ate that up out of the palm of his hand. The way he played the game, we loved.
He was a dog. He looked like he could, he could go into the parking lot after the game and get your car back on the road if you needed him to. And I just think that really resonated with the Jets fans. Yeah. So those would be my 3.
Nice. Dom?
Before I get into that, Phenom just had something good in the chat, and I'm almost embarrassed that I forgot about it. I gave no respect to Aaron Glenn. He's probably right up there as well as one of my favorite.
That's what I thought
players.
Jeremy was going to say when he was talking about the other cornerback. I was like, oh shit, I forgot Aaron Glenn.
Man, I just forgot about Aaron Glennon. I forgot how good of a Jet he was.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was awesome. But offense,
Him and Marcus Coleman were a very good tandem.
they were they were incredible. And
And
Aaron
let them both go to Houston in the expansion draft.
Yeah. Curtis Martin, I think Curtis Martin is probably my favorite offensive player. I think he's probably arguably the best offensive player that I've seen in my era.
Easily, he's the best offensive player.
I mean, he's the best offensive player the Jets have ever had in my era, hands down. So it's hard not to say him. I really liked, I liked Altoon. I always rooted for Altoon. Altoon was like, he was so good. You know what I mean? He was a guy that just, produced time after time after time, So he's one of my oldest and fondest memories as a kid who I was rooting for. And then the third one, there's a little bit behind this, and it's probably stupid to say because he's an offensive lineman, but I loved Kevin Mawai. I was a center myself. I was a center myself, and what Kevin Mawai could do as a center, he revolutionized the position. I mean, you watched him, snapping and then pulling and leading on toss sweeps and stuff like that. It just wasn't done there. You know what I mean?
Leading Curtis Martin 25 yards downfield.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And he just played. He played like he had that dog mentality, and he couldn't be stopped. And again, I kind of I'm a little biased because myself, I was a center growing up and playing ball in high school and whatnot. So I loved Kevin Mawai.
Yeah, very, very good. I don't want to be. I'm going to eliminate Curtis Martin and Corbett for mine because obviously they're there. But to get some other names in the discussion, I'll pick other guys. Someone who I really, really enjoyed watching was Leon Washington. Yeah. I loved Leon Washington. I know he was more special teams, but when we got him out there on the offense, he could break runs. He was somebody who I was a huge fan of because he was a little guy too, right?
Yeah,
like that was still the era where you had big running backs like Lamont Jordan, and you had these big bruisers like Brandon Jacobs on the Giants, and then a little guy like Leon Washington who was like the new generation's version of Dave Meggett.
Yeah,
he went out there and he did really well for us. I enjoyed him. My first love was Altoon. That was the first Jet jersey I ever had was an Altoon jersey. Let me see. I gotta go Nick Mangold. I gotta go Mangold. The beard, the love for barbecue, like he's my spirit animal. But yeah, I mean Martin and Corbett, I think are on anybody's list who's watched the Jets in the last 25 years. Yeah. So that's that's just to add a couple more names and of guys that I really enjoyed rooting for. And funny story, I've told this story on the air that I have not bought a Jets jersey for myself since Jonathan Vilma got traded. I swore them off. I was done. I'm like,
really?
NFL, I'm like, they're a scam. If we had Jonathan Vilma, a great linebacker, and we got rid of him after 3 years, I had a green and a white and an authentic, and we got rid of him. I said, F this. I'm never buying myself another jersey for the rest of my life. I support the team on the front. I have a Joe Namath in my closet. A friend of mine who's a Raider fan bought one years ago, and he just moved to Florida in November. And he stopped by one day. He's like, hey, I want to leave this to you. He's like, it's yours now. So I have it, and the goal is to get it put in. It's like in mint condition. I'm not even going to wear it. I'm going to put it in the frame and get it up on the wall. But it was, I want to say 2010. Yeah, it had to be. My birthday's in October. My parents, my sister came over. We had a little something at the house. And it was the day that the Jets played the Raiders. It's the Mark Sanchez hot dog game. My sister and her boyfriend at the time come by, and they give me a Leon Washington jersey as a gift. Me being the nice guy that I am, I decided to put it on for the game. Leon Washington broke his ankle in like 16 places within 10 minutes of me putting the jersey on. And I was like, I knew I shouldn't have worn this shit. So, Leon, if you're watching, I am so sorry, buddy. It's my sister's fault. That's the last jersey I've ever worn.
I don't buy jerseys. I always get them gifted to me. Like, for me, it's Father's Day. Like, my wife and kids will, they just stock me up. I'm wearing a 26. It's not who you think either. It's not Le'Veon. This is May's first jersey.
Yeah.
I married into my wife, my in-laws, my brother-in-laws. They're all University of Florida alums. So anytime there's a Florida guy, they'll get me a jersey, no matter if it's Jet or not. So this one happens to be Marcus May's rookie year jersey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned Bilal Powell in the chat, and I feel like he, offensively was kind of what David Harris was defensively, even though he wasn't always a full-time starter. But I think the professionalism, the consistency, hard not to like Bilal Powell. So that would be a good one if we're going for some less popular names.
Yeah, obscure. I love the Leon Washington love. Think about it. Leon Washington was a 4th-round pick, right?
Yeah.
In the day where they would have 3 or 4, the top running backs went in the 1st round back then, so you got a 4th-round pick. That was a diamond in the rough. Now running backs at 4th round, they're a dime a dozen, man. You know what I mean?
So again, I just want to thank everybody that's new. We have a lot of new people in the chat that I haven't seen before. Brian Remington, Stacy Martin. Some of you may have been in before, but I might not have noticed. But I want to welcome everybody to the channel. If you like the content, not only like the stream, but subscribe to the channel. It'll help me out. So I'd really appreciate that. But thanks for being here tonight. Good stuff. And I hope you're enjoying the content. I wanted to welcome back Luscious Lady. She was here with Spotty Blackman. And he was she is a favorite of his. So by the way, I'll tell him you say hello. Richard from Jersey, welcome. So I want to thank everybody. Before we wrap up later, I just wanted to make sure that just let everybody know we appreciate you being here with us tonight. It's been an amazing time. We're probably going to be wrapping up soon, but please remember to like the stream. It helps, and definitely subscribe. Appreciate it. And Mark Reese. I am very, very careful about what jerseys I buy. So sometimes it's nice to just buy a classic player, and then you never really have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the secret to success. People always ask on Twitter and Facebook groups, what jersey should I get? Get a vintage player. The way the Jets have drafted, I know we all expect it to change with Joe Douglas, but do not put money into a guy until he's successful. I would say don't put money into a guy until he hits his 2nd contract, because then he's succeeded as a Jet. My kid said to me 2 years ago, Dad, I'm 11 years old. Can we stop getting me Jets jerseys? Every jersey I get, the player leaves. And we went through a list of all the jerseys that I've gotten him. Now, some of them were the T-shirts with the name on the back, and others were jerseys. His first picture on his first football game was against the Chargers on like September 22nd, 2008. Yes, I remember that. And I had him in a little Lavernius Coles onesie, because that's all that the Walmart or the Target had. But then it was like Sanchez, Chris Ivory, Revis left, Jamal Adams, Le'Veon Bell, Robbie Anderson, Richardson, Wilkerson, Leonard Williams. Like, the list goes on and on and on. And I got him a Quinnen Williams for his 11th, and we haven't gotten anything since. So we're like, all right, fingers crossed. Does he sign a 2nd deal? Does this jersey get a little more run in it? No, but he had a Decker T-shirt. He had a Brandon Marshall T-shirt. Like, anybody who was only a Jet for a year or two, like, if I bought the jersey or T-shirt for him, they were gone, like, instantaneously. It was the kiss of death. And
no Ryan Griffin jersey?
Ryan Griffin? No. I don't even think Ryan Griffin's mom has a Ryan Griffin jersey.
Ryan Griffin just signed.
Bears?
Yeah, the Bears gave him like $2 million. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
$2 million and change. Maybe they want GVR too.
I can't believe he's still a Jet.
He won't be for long.
I know, but why? Why keep him? We have 17 linemen. Like you don't want to use that $3 million elsewhere. Like you don't want to.
That's weird. I put out on Twitter, I said, the Jets having not cut GVR just feels like I've been holding in a fart all off season.
You start to get stomach pains. Your balls start to hurt. You're like, why does this feel like this?
Like, just get it out.
It's amazing, just because the fans. It's like, I know it's like at least he has experience playing, and people could argue, oh, he's okay to be a backup guard and everything, but the damage has been done. Some people are just not need a new start somewhere else. When Zach went down, and the footage is right there of him getting thrown like a rag doll into Zach Wilson. That was it for him. He's we can't go into another season with him as at guard. I mean, we just can't.
No, we're not. We don't have to, and we're not going to.
No.
So, what else?
I would throw one more final one in there in terms of favorite players. Just and somebody mentioned like Thomas Jones, or just a few players who had key roles. I think for me, the best Jets teams I've probably seen were the first two Rex Ryan years in terms of like playoff runs. So I'd throw I know it didn't end well, but I would throw Santonio Holmes in there just because there was some. I don't forget if it was 09 or 2010. But there was a stretch of games where he had it was 4 out of 6 games where he had game-winning touchdowns right towards the end of the year.
He had the walk-off against Cleveland. He had the game winner against Houston where we were down 24-7 and we came back to 1.
Yep, and I was at that game against Houston. I remember I was sitting in the end zone, and it was like a beautiful ball from Sanchez right in the corner of the end zone on a perfect route, toe drag swag. To come back and win the game. Yep. There was less than 10 seconds left. So I would throw him in there. There was some pretty epic moments in his short time.
Jericho Cotchery, too, was a solid Jet for a long time. The torn groin catch, was that the Cleveland game? 2006, the New England playoff game. He took an opening drive touchdown, 70 yards on one of the first passes of the game. He took that the length of the field. I think Lavernius Coles was mentioned, right?
Yeah. Nobody's mentioned a tight end. That tells you something.
Dustin Keller.
No, actually, Mickey Schuler was mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Schuler was mentioned.
That dates us on how long it's been since we've had a real, true, reliable tight end in here.
Yeah, Keller had flashes, right? He had that big touchdown in the Cincinnati playoff game.
He got hurt. Becht was okay. He was all right.
He was methodical,
he was just
right?
A guy.
He was a blocker.
Just a guy.
He was more of a blocker and a little bit of a red zone threat on a play action. He wasn't
up the scene.
He wasn't a 100-yard tight end. He was a 5-yard tight end.
Dustin Keller was nice because he was something that we hadn't had in a while. With that flex tight end, so on and so forth. We've had the Bradys and the Becks of the world and so on and so forth. So Dustin Keller was that nice shiny new toy. Yeah,
it's a breath of fresh air to have a tight end who can catch a run.
And in the end, it was just lipstick on a pig. So,
all right. So Mark Reese comes in and says, "Question for you guys: Joe D presumably could have gotten Amari Cooper for a 5th and didn't. Then why were we in the hunt for an older, weaker Brandon Cooks at 29 years old?"
I don't
think
we
were in on the Cooper. We were in on Cooper until Dallas said we couldn't renegotiate the contract before the trade, and then Joe was out.
Yeah,
so
and I don't think we were able
to. If we were able to renegotiate with Cooper and then acquire him, or contingent upon the trade offer being accepted, then we negotiate with him. Cooper might be a Jet right now, but Dallas shut that down.
I don't know if it was Dallas that shut that down, though, Nick. And Cooper has been very, very open and vocal about not renegotiating his contract.
But he reworked his deal as soon as he got to Cleveland. That's why I believed it was Dallas. He redid his deal already.
Well, that's why. That's where the friction started when he was in Oakland. They wanted him to rework the deal. He said, "No, I'm not reworking my deal." So, but to the second part of that, I don't know if we were ever in on Cooks. Let's believe
that's the waters, right?
Believe half what you. What did they say? Believe half what you see or half what you hear, and 25% of what you see, 50% of what you see. I don't know if we were really ever in on Cooks. It didn't make sense to me. No disrespect to Brandon
He's a
Cooks.
very underrated receiver, though, man. You can mark him down for 1,000, and he's a good
Absolutely.
route runner too. So that's another.
You can mark him down for 1,000, but he's at that he's at that age. You're gonna have to extend him at 29 years old. He's a concussion history, 6 or 7 concussions in the past couple of years. So much of an issue that he missed games for it. To me, it didn't smell right. I know you read that, the Jets were showing interest, but we've all witnessed
Joe's going to be involved in every receiver. Joe's going to test the waters on every receiver because he wants to upgrade that room.
Yeah.
But he signed 2 years, $40 million extension. With Houston. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to give him that if that's what he wanted. And maybe that's why Joe got out, because him and his agent expressed, we want a new deal for $20 million a year. But Joe's going to be probably tied to every receiver.
Mm-hmm. But he's got his walkaway number, which is what I like. And I think that he's already proven me wrong like 3 times just in this offseason, where I'm like, this is why I can never be a GM, because I'm so impulsive. And I was even saying Cooper. And in hindsight, I'm like, in hindsight, I would have already been regretting the move for Cooper. Because I'm like, we just need, to upgrade at wide receiver. And I think it shows that, and we see that with the Jets history. Like, we decided we're going to sign CJ Mosley, and we're just going to play the game of just monopoly money until CJ Mosley finally says yes. He wanted to stay in Baltimore. And then, he got a couple competitive offers, and then he got this Jets offer, and the agent was like, dude, and Baltimore was like, CJ, we love you, dude. Go get that money, because that's crazy. You're not getting it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think
$6 million more than anything else he was offered.
It's insane, and especially
because middle linebacker and running back are the 2 positions you need to pay a lot of money for.
That's the word. Next words right out of my mouth. If we were doing that for an edge or a quarterback, that'd be one thing. And we see that in life. Whenever you have your walkaway number in mind, and you go above it and above it on a big investment, on a car, and you just sign the dotted line because whatever you wanted to impress your friends or a girl, man, you always come to regret that. So I think having that walkaway number is something really refreshing that we haven't had in a Jets GM, in the last decade.
And he said it too. Joe directly said it, that we were in on Hill, and it got to the point where it was borderline reckless. Like, if we would have traded him for him and gave him $30 million a year, it would have been reckless, because you just spent all these last 2.5 years getting us out of cap hell, and now you're going to go put us back in it. So I like that he's self-aware as a GM. Like, I like that they have a plan and they stick to it, and it's not the old Howard Stern bit of just throwing baloney and seeing what sticks. Like, there's rhyme and reason to everything they do, and they are not going to make a move that hurts 5 other moves or prevents 5 other moves from happening.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point, Nick. And think about how he structured all these contracts with all these guys that he just put in. There's not a lot of money. There's not a lot of money this year, but there's a lot of money in year 2 and year 3. Now, year 2, if you think about it, the first thing I clicked is we can get from under CJ Mosley relatively cheaply. There's another $16 million a year that we can save. We can get out of Corey Davis relatively cheaply if we wanted to, with another $10.5 million to save. So he loaded these contracts, Laken Tomlinson, so on and so forth, a little lighter in the first year, heavier in the second year. I think with the foresight that there's some other big numbers that he's going to be able to come out from under.
Yeah. And most of them are 3-year deals, so it buys him time to draft the long-term replacements.
Correct.
He's not giving out Bart Scott, Calvin Pace 6-7-year deals. It's 3-year deals. It buys him time, because you can't draft every replacement in 1 year. Even if you have the greatest draft ever, you're still going to have needs.
Yep.
So, it's short-term plan for a long-term plan. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely does.
And they just,
then we get to the point where
before,
we draft well, and now we're getting comp picks, which I don't remember the last time the Jets got a comp pick, because we've always been buyers in free agency.
Or haven't had dead money. Like, we were last in the league in dead money.
1.2.
It's crazy.
I would love that dead money. Just I would gladly take that dead money.
Jeremy, you've been quiet, man.
I'm just letting you guys go because my throat's killing me. So I was like, I'm just gonna let them talk and go. And you guys are doing a great job. I was just listening.
What'd you eat?
A salad, Greek salad. My wife made it. She did a great job too. So I'm on a diet, man. Like I'm no joke for real. So I've got to take off the pounds. Yeah, I've got to take it off. Get young again.
Hey man, it happens when you're sitting down podcasting 20 hours a week. You're not as active.
Man, it all happened because of the pandemic. The pandemic killed me, man. Like
it's the P word, man. Pandemic and podcast are the killers. They put on the key pounds.
Just being stuck inside all the time. It's been awful. Plus my metabolism, when you get older, the older you get, the worse it gets. But that's okay. I'm working on it.
I see Phenom has a question. You want to pull that one up? Perfect timing.
Yeah.
What was your favorite or memorable game that you were in attendance? My game was Eagles at the Jets. Johnny Mitchell had 3 touchdowns, but Boomer was intercepted by Eric Allen for the win. I'm going to go. I got 3 like that come to head immediately. 2 of them were back-to-back weeks. Week 17, we beat the Brett Favre Packers 42-17 to win the division in 2002 in a game where we needed Cleveland was playing Atlanta, and we needed we needed something to go our way. And I was on the aisle in section 324. One of the guys, I always was on the aisle. I never sat in my seat once in 7 years with season tickets. I was always down on the aisle, getting the crowd going up in the corner end zone. And there's a guy next to me with the headphones, and the old guy with the TV with the little black and white antenna.
Little transistor radio.
Yes. It was the radio TV combo. And then it was either the field goal was good or whatever happened. Cleveland had lost. So it allowed us, if we win, whatever it was, we needed Cleveland to do something. The crowd goes nuts. Word starts to spread like rapid fire through the crowd. Now it's like in between plays, and like the Jets players have talked about it, like all of a sudden the buzz in the crowd, and then we see up on the big board that we got what we needed to happen, and the Jets just took off, man. And Chad Pennington played phenomenal, and we blew out Brett Favre and the Packers 42-17. The following week, wild card game, we defeat Peyton Manning and the Colts 41-0. And I'm going to go back to January 12th of 99 when we defeated the Jaguars 34-24 to go to the AFC Championship.
Mine's very easy. 2000, Miracle at the Meadowlands. Jumbo Elliott catching the ball in the end zone, the whole nine. And Nick, I know you live in Jersey.
I was there.
I think you live in Jersey still.
I do. Rainbow Bridge.
I am one of the guys, unfortunately.
No, don't say it.
I ended up at Stilettos, right down the road.
I know.
So I ended up at Stilettos and was one of the many Jet fans trying to like hell to get back into the stadium.
Dude, I'll tell you, I was at that's number 4 on my list. The playoff ramification games are ranked higher for me.
Yeah.
My barber had seats section 208. They're the mezzanine on the goal line. Like I had the perfect view of the 1998 Vinny no touchdown against Seattle that got ruled a touchdown. I'm like, There's no way he's in. And then they called a touchdown. But my sister, her boyfriend, a couple other friends were all in Fireman Ed section. And we went down to that section at halftime. And I'm 22 years old. I'm shit-faced. And people are leaving and we're down bad. And I'm like being sarcastic. I'm like, I hope you run your car off the road when we come back and win this game. And you hate yourself for leaving. And they're like, shut up, you fucking idiot. And then all of a sudden we start coming back. And my buddy's getting on my shoulders when we're down by 20. And we're doing the chant because Fireman Ed was turned around talking to 2 Dolphins fans for the entire second half until Jumbo caught it. And when Jumbo caught it, he went to get on his brother's shoulders. I'm like, not today, bro. You handed the baton off. This is our day.
So,
okay.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say that for me, it was, that I was in attendance was not in New Jersey. It was not in New York. It was not in Queens. It was in San Diego. I was at the
Oh
playoff
yeah.
game. I was at the playoff game. You know, the Pennington, he can't throw deep anymore because his shoulder's done. 50-yard pass to Santonio Holmes, and a couple of missed field goals in
That was wild card 2004, right?
Yeah, I almost got killed that day. I needed you at the game with me, not my
Is that the Nate Kading game?
brother, huh?
Yeah, Nate Gating game, exactly.
Yeah. If I would have had Nick there, I could have screamed and cheered more. This one guy in the beginning of the second half wanted to fight me. It was crazy, and I wasn't even doing anything obnoxious. But I looked around, scattered out where the other Jet fans were. I was like, I'm wondering if
there's safety in numbers, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering if Buffalo. Have you been able to go to a game, because I know you're living in Buffalo?
Oh yeah. I go to every year when we go to Buffalo, and it's gotten better since I don't drink anymore. Because there's definitely been some times where I'm like, man, how did I get out of that alive? Because when you go to other sports teams, like they talk trash, but there's something different about the Bills. I hate the Bills. But if people ask, like, do you root for the Bills when they're not playing the Jets? I'm like, no, hell no. But they have really passionate fans, so it's always a fun time. For me, the top three would be one I mentioned, which was I was in attendance when they came back against Houston. I think they were down like 17 at some point.
Yeah.
And Santonio Holmes caught the game-winning touchdown with like less than 10 seconds left. I was also at a playoff game in 2010 against I think it was the Bengals. They won like 24-10. And then
that was the game Dustin Keller caught that touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so not like probably like the most boring game of their playoff runs, but it was still a playoff game, which is exciting. And number one was actually a preseason game, but I have a good reason. So I was 16 years old and I was at a preseason game, and it was Jets Giants.
Mhm.
And I saw a young lady there who was there with her dad, who was a Giants fan. And I recognized her because we went to the same high school, even though we didn't know each other. But we got to know each other during that game, and I ended up marrying her. So that's got to be my favorite game right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just threw up in my mouth. Sorry.
No, I feel you, man. I feel you. So
my sister met her husband at a Giant preseason game too, like a few years ago. So
I love that, dude.
That's good stuff.
We
man.
found out. I said the Miracle was my favorite game that I was at. But like my favorite moment, it's very similar to yours, Buffalo. Maybe, my favorite moment that happened because that I revolve around the Jets is we found out we're Jets Jaguars in Christ, I guess it was the second game of the season, third game of the season in 2011. We found out that we were pregnant with our first kid, my wife and I.
That's awesome.
Right. Well, right before the game, we found out that we were pregnant. So that game, and they won, so it made it that much better.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, after trying for a long time, so it was like it was really, really, really cool.
Shout out to V-Man, by the way. I was glad to see his chat come in. And V-Man, what's going on, my friend? If anybody out there doesn't know V-Man, he's a spectacular human being. He's a great young man, super intelligent, and he knows a lot of stuff about a lot of things. He impresses me every time I talk to him.
Nice.
I saw Mark Riss commented, who said Woodbridge. That's where I'm from, Mark. I grew up in Island, and now I live in Avenel. Are you local? What else we got in the chat?
I see Big Green. I'll gladly pay a new jet for a new Jet stadium. MetLife is terrible. Do you guys remember when there was the talk that they were going to put a stadium in downtown Manhattan?
The West Side Stadium.
The West Side of Manhattan. Yeah. Do you remember that?
I hated it.
How crazy would that would have been a nightmare.
It would have been awful.
Logistical nightmare.
The tailgating would have been non-existent, but that's what they wanted. They wanted a smaller stadium, and they wanted to sell all the expensive suites.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there would have been no home field advantage.
Well, they saw what the Knicks and the Rangers do with their season tickets, Yeah. And being a fan of both teams, it's almost sad because, 3/4 of the people in those games, 3/4 maybe not the Knicks so much, but definitely the Rangers, 3/4 of the people there for the Ranger games, they might like hockey, they might want to root for the Rangers, but they're there because, Bank of America's got this box that it gave out these tickets, or this company or that company. It's all corporate,
Yep. Yeah, I worked for Optimum for 14 years, and I loved working for Dolan as a cable employee because overtime and triple time were like free flowing, so money was great. But outside of that, he's been a bad sports owner. But man, I'm so grateful he blocked that stadium. I'm so grateful he blocked that. It would have been a logistical nightmare, taking ferries and parking over here. The parking lots in New Jersey, the waterfront would be ridiculous. It would cost so much more to go to a game than it does just driving up and down the turnpike. Mark Riss is on Royway Ave. Stop, dude. I'm on Avenel Street, right next to Jersey Pizza Boys. I'm above the pumpkin patch at the traffic light next to Jersey Pizza Boys.
Oh my God.
And Royway Ave is like the cross street right down the road. That's funny, man.
Dude, I just ate a salad for dinner and you're going to talk about pizza from New Jersey? You're killing me. Bro.
Yes, I am. So,
Jim Page, great singer. Jim Page was the guitar player, right?
That's right.
Jimmy Page. Still better than sharing. I don't know what you're referring to, but
wait a minute. Mark, I was there Monday night.
Still sharing the stadium
with the Giants.
Oh. Yeah,
I see Mark in the chat. Mark, I was there Monday night. I walked in at like 10 o'clock after my basketball game to watch the end of the North Carolina game. That's funny as hell, man.
Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the channel, Jim Page. Good to see you here. Come back. Subscribe.
Dom, where are you? You still Jersey?
I am Morristown.
Okay.
Yeah, Morris County.
Lodi Pizza. Big Green.
Yeah, Buffalo pizza sucks, man. It's awful. It's so bad.
Oh my God. Well, you got the wings though, so.
Yeah.
If I ever come to Buffalo, you gonna take me to the right places?
Yeah, man. We'll do it right.
Yeah, cool. I love wings, man. Give me just nice the traditional vinegar, hot. I love it.
I can't do
You're on a diet. Stop talking about it, Jeremy.
Grill them, don't fry them. It's still diet food.
No, because sometimes I jump into keto when I'm like want to eat a lot. So I think buffalo wings, if made the right way, is just Frank's hot sauce and butter. I could do that.
Mm-hmm. They give you carrots and celery with them, or whatever.
Yeah. It's basically a goddamn salad. You get carrots, you get celery, you get ranch dressing, and you get chicken. What did your wife just bring in for you? You want some tomato balls to make it a full-blown salad? Go ahead.
Wow, Jim Page is behind enemy lines in Boston. You're not driving around in that Jets car in Boston, are you, dude?
I think that's the stadium. I think it looks like. Is that on the street or is that video board? I know it's tough to see. That looks like the video board when you walk up to the stadium.
Oh, okay.
Oh man,
yeah.
Man, time. Jesus Lord. I can't believe how much time's flown by. This has been fun tonight, man.
Yeah, man, this has been amazing. But we do got to wrap it up. I got to watch some TV with the wife, spend some time with her on a Friday night. Because even for here, it's getting late. So
now it's gonna. What are you gonna watch? Something to test your diet? Well, you're gonna watch like Man vs. Food.
No, I don't know what you'll want to watch, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she might not even want to watch anything. We might just listen to music. Who knows? But this is always the hardest time. That's why it's good that I'm on this show. If I wasn't doing this, tonight would have been just torture, right? Because how do you come home from work on a Friday night and not pig out?
Yeah, as I'm going to reheat 2 Sicilian slices in the air fryer as soon as we're done.
That's why on Saturdays I don't go low calories. On Saturdays I just go no carbs. So this way I could at least eat all day. Like I could, I'll just make a big omelet or something. At least feel full.
Nice.
Because you don't do carbs, you don't gain weight. It's very simple.
Sure. Like
I'm serious. I've never gained weight in a day where I've only eaten meat. So I don't use keto, like go on keto like for a long time, and I just do like, oh, this is a day where I need to feel full. I need to eat a lot, and I don't want to gain weight. And I could, if I don't do any carbs, just for the whole day, I could eat steak, I could eat eggs, do whatever I want, and I will not gain weight.
Well, I still think it's you gain weight when you're in a calorie surplus, no matter if it's carbs, proteins, fats, or the less.
Eating late is the worst. Like,
There's some kind of chemistry to it. I don't
intermittent
know.
fasting is literally the best way to lose weight. Like, I've lost almost 100 pounds, but at my worst, I was up at like 382, and now I'm down right around like 280. And I'm diabetic type 2, so it's tough for me to take weight off. And my doctor told me intermittent fasting. You eat from only an 8-hour window. So I would eat from 2 to 10. So from 10 p.m. until 2 o'clock the next day, you don't eat. It kicks your body into burning and eating off the sugars and the fats that are in you. And then when you eat in that small window, your body burns more of the fuel, because now that it has the fuel in it, the food in it to burn off, it burns it quicker. And I'm not talking doctor talk. I'm just giving a quick summary of what it does. But it was it worked wonders for me, man. I
took off 80 doing the same thing, Nick. Yeah. I took off 80,
like a pound a day off for like 60 days. Honest to God.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting worked like you walking down the street, the fat's just falling off of you. Yeah. It works like freaking magic.
Yeah.
So Mark Reese, we're going to give out all the information of where you can find everybody. So I do think it is time we have to wrap up. So we'll start with Buffalo Jet fan, and tell Mark and everybody else that's here like where they can find you.
You're a Chicago Jet fan on Twitter, right?
Yeah, Buffalo Jet fan, YouTube and Twitter. YouTube channel. I've only been at it like about 6 weeks, so I'm still learning the technology. So be nice to me. You can come check it out. My most recent video, I was poking fun. I did a parody of 6 different types of Jets fans during the NFL draft. I got the wide receiver hipsters and the boomers for Linderbaum, and so that's kind of funny if you want to go check that out. But yeah, that's me, and I appreciate the opportunity to plug it, Jeremy, and it was an awesome time tonight, and I'd love to be back.
Oh, you'll be invited back, man. Don't worry about that. We love having you on the channel. You're doing a great job on your channel. Don't doubt it, man. I enjoy it. And I had a good time being over on your channel. I know Dom C had a good time being on your channel as well.
Not yet. Soon.
Oh,
soon. I'm getting on soon. We're getting on soon.
That happened yesterday or the day before.
I had to postpone on him. I'm sorry, Dom. I'll make it up to you.
Don't apologize. No, I get it, man. I get it. It's all good. It's all good. I unsubbed, by the way. Oh man.
Do you make content, Dom?
I do, not on YouTube. I write. I've been for mainly this year and a little bit last year as well. I do content for Peas in the Pod for greenbeanjetsfan.com. I'm the the NFL draft content guy on greenbeanjetsfan.com. You can find all my articles in there. I broke down, position by position, guys I think would be great fits for the Jets. That's always been kind of my niche is really the draft is my my baby. I love even well before I started writing content, it's just stuff that I did really research and dug into this guy. I like to watch, I watch highlights. I like to watch film and stuff like that. So for me, this was a perfect introduction to the Jets Twitter sphere was to start writing for Green Bean. And that's what I do, man. Get a couple spots here and there. I have a show with Jeremy that he, graciously, does with me on Sundays. We have a dueling mock draft, which as we're getting closer, we're going to start diving more into positional breakdowns and so on and so forth, not just do quote unquote, what would we do mock drafts and the stuff that we've been doing. So
you guys go hard on those mocks, man. I turn on YouTube. I'm like, wonder what Jeremy's doing. Oh, he's in round 5 with Dom C. They've been going back and forth for 28 minutes on pick 163.
Yeah.
I respect the commitment, man. Jeremy, that's one thing I'll say about you, dude. You put in the hours, brother. Like, man, hats off to you, dude.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we got to get you a treadmill instead of a chair, so you get a little exercise while you're doing all those hours during the week. Yeah. You just sit here power walking the whole time during the show.
Well, Buffalo's blowing everyone away, man. He's at Big Green is number 296. You're gonna hit 300 already, man. You're on fire. It's awesome.
Look at that, dude.
Yeah, I've had a couple bigger names kind of like re-share my stuff, so I've had some people do me some solids.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
cool.
That's good. May you find me proud New York Jets fans on YouTube and also Facebook group that I run. So anybody on Facebook, hit me up. My name on Facebook is Nick Shine Jr. You can hit me there, and then I can invite you to the group, or you just search out Proud New York Jets fans. Either way, and then you find me here on Friday nights with the chaotic one.
Excellent.
The chaotic one. And I, of course, you know it because you're here. Chaos with Jeremy, NFL Chaos with Jeremy. And just so you all know, officially, Nick is my co-host on Friday nights for Friday Night Hangout, which is this. And we'll have other people on, like you saw Buffalo. Buffalo will be back like often. And Dom, when he wants to come on, Adam will be on Fridays when he wants. I mean, we're just going to have a good time on Fridays and talk Jets football like we did tonight. Sunday, we got that show with Dom C and I, and we're going to go from dueling drafts to more of in-depth player analysis. And
I would love to come on and mediate between the two of you.
So the show,
I'm watching it, and I'm always like, man, they need a mediator.
We'll get you on there at some point.
Because we're on different sides of the spectrum. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's salt on pepper.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And then on Wednesdays, we do the Wacky Wednesday. The Wacky Wednesday show, it's me and Adam. We always try to get a special guest on those shows. And, we mix and match. You never know when any of these guys here are going to pop up on any show. It can happen at any time, which is always the excitement of the channel. I just like good quality content. And these are the guys that help me make that good quality content. So I appreciate them. I appreciate everybody here in the chat for being here, for supporting the channel. I also want to point out that I do a weekly video now. Buffalo really encouraged me to do it, so I'm going to start doing more when I have time, but I'm doing a weekly one called The State of the Jets Nation. So, I'm taking a take on the State of the Union, but I'm doing the State of Jets Nation every week. So look for that video. It premieres every Monday morning.
I see Mark just sent the comment. Yeah, I'm friends with Ray. We hang out a bunch of times.
Very cool.
Sorry about that.
He's a Net fan, a Jet fan. Yeah, good dude.
So anyway, that's about going to wrap it up. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks, guys, for making a great show tonight. I appreciate it. And we will see everybody. I might be very late on Sunday night, so if you don't see me on, don't freak out. I'm just letting you know. Me and my wife are going pretty far away, so I don't know what time I'm going to make it back by. But I'll be on for at least a few minutes on Sunday night. Dom C's traveling, so he's not going to be there anyway. And then on Wacky Wednesday, I'll be back for Wacky Wednesday for sure. But look for that video on Monday morning. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate it. And have an amazing weekend. And
Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat.
See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Go Jets.
I would regret it if people look back at the first episode and you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I like that. It's called forward thinking.
We have one of the worst beats in the world. We do. Our beat is horrible.
Connor could shove that article up his ass.
And then I went to that game, and I was like, this is the greatest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm a Jet fan. This is going to be the greatest run ever.
Yeah.
No, because if they take Aquanu, I'm not complaining.
Joe Douglas is the king of keeping shit close to the vest.
A 2, a 4, and a 6 for Darnold.
Did the Jets really ruin Sam Darnold, or did Sam Darnold just suck all along and we were just trying to talk ourselves into it?
And Hamilton is a player who can potentially make a very big impact.
And suddenly here we are today, you can't get rid of him.
Right. It's like a plague.
Joe Douglas was hired because he's not those general managers.
Okay, Luscious.
Somebody is going to fall just like Elijah Moore did, just like Michael Carter did.
What would, if you had one sentence to say to Joe Douglas, what would you say? So you would say, you had me at hello, and then give him a big old wet one right on the smack.